Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. It is Friday, December 27th, 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And folks, we are 2 days away from the end of the year, or two at least trading days away from the end of the trading year for 2024. We got 2 days left, kind of crazy, but we are coming into the home stretch. It's kind of wild. We got today, and then we got Monday and Tuesday, and that's it. And then we are done for the year. And then we open markets again January 2nd on Thursday next week. So exciting stuff ending out the year. Again, similar to yesterday, headlines, market movement, activity, volatility, all of that stuff, pretty stable. Nothing that crazy happening. We got a couple days left of the year when it comes to trading. So I think that a lot of the market makers, hedge fund managers, money managers, they're all kind of satisfied with this year and they're ready to go home. So I wouldn't expect anything too crazy over the next couple of days. Bitcoin getting back above 96,000, which is nice to see. Bitcoin at 96,360 right now. We had that nasty decline yesterday from 99, which is around 1 a.m. On Wednesday night or Thursday morning. That went all the way to 95 by 5 a.m. So we kind of in 4 hours got that big of a dip. Haven't really recovered since then. Back above 96, which is okay. But MSTR, Coinbase, CleanSpark, Marathon, some of the Bitcoin proxies took it on the chin yesterday as Bitcoin went down. A couple days left for Bitcoin to try to get over 100,000 before New Year's Eve, which I do think is possible, but we're going to have to see now if that can end up playing out. Equities pretty flat in the pre-markets. Nothing too crazy. Robinhood's up a little bit. Robinhood closed above $40 yesterday, which was nice. Tesla's down another 1%. SoFi down about 0.5%. SoFi had a great day yesterday, up 3.62%. Palantir still holding strong into the 80s, but we are down in the pre-markets. Down about 0.5% for Palantir, 81.65 right now. Everything else not moving that crazy. SMCI is down a little bit. Nvidia's down a little bit. You know, some stocks are green, some stocks are red, but there's not any crazy gyrations or movements. Color, that stock that was up yesterday because of their Bitcoin treasury strategy, that one's up another 12% right now. So the Bitcoin treasury strategy is working for them as a small cap. But outside of that, there's not that much crazy movement right now in the pre-markets. And then finally, we have some retail inventories data that we're going to look at, some macro data we're going to look at. But yeah, it's kind of getting into the end of the year. Just nothing too crazy as we end out 2024. And that's a good thing, right? We shouldn't want crazy surprises as we end out the year. But having said that, that should be pretty much what we're expecting as we get into 2025. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. We're going to get into it in just a second. M. Russo, what's up? Cactus Jack, I'm Beneficial. Andy, Bay Ray, Stanley, what's up? What's up? Good morning. Quantum names are the quantum names moving? And look at them. Are they moving again in the pre-markets? Quantum names are, I guess they're moving. QBTS up 7%, RGTI up 11%, QUBT up 7%, Google's flat, and then IONQ is down 1.2%. So the quantum names continue to get money being poured into them as we get into the new year as well. John, what's up? Jason Charles, what's up? Steve, what's up? M. Bonapal, good morning to you. Kenneth, good morning. Papa Santa is treating us. That is correct. We are in the Santa Claus rally right now. Now, it didn't start on Friday, last Friday and this Monday. It technically started on Tuesday, if you look at the charts of it. But it might have started to come on Friday because that rebound on Friday from the J-POW press conference disaster that took us down 4 to 5%. That was a hell of a rebound. So maybe Santa Claus rally did come a little earlier this year. But I think we are definitely in the midst of what that rally could be right now. Michael, what's up? V-Raj, good morning to you. Brent, good morning. Pete, good morning. Iceman JJ, what's up? June, what's up? Young Tran, hello. Good morning. Johnny, Matt Money called you out on not buying Rocket Lab when he said at 450. You can't catch them all. You cannot catch them all. Johnny, what's up? Matt Money. I don't think he's in the chat, but he'll probably be here soon. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m., we're going to have the stock market awards. So Steve is definitely confirmed. I believe Chris and Matt are confirmed, but they're in the group chat. They should be there. Doug is confirmed. So worst case, me, Steve, and Doug will definitely be there, but I think we'll get the other guys on as well. And that'll be fun. We're going to have a lot of categories to discuss and go through a bunch of different names going into 2025. Jeremy, what's up? Dazine, what's up? Cedric, hi from France. Good morning to you, Cedric. Thank you for being here. All right, let's get started. So First of all, let's do a little bit of Palantir. This news happened last night on the market close. So if you didn't catch that, let me bring this up real quick. Alex Karp was chosen as the CEO of the year by The Economist. So we finally got a little bit of recognition for Karp towards the end of the year. I was imagining at least one of the mainstream publications would give Karp CEO of the year. And it's been like 4 or 5 months. We didn't get any of the announcements, but finally yesterday we got it. So The Economist said, among our finalists, however, it is Mr. Karp of Palantir who stands out. Over the course of 2024, his company's market capitalization has rocketed from 36 billion to over 180 billion. Its underlying financial performance has been impressive. Palantir is expanding rapidly, with analysts expecting it to notch up revenue growth of 26% in 2024, up 10 percentage points from the year before. It has also become much more profitable, with operating margins doubling to 15% in the past 12 months. And a sign of its ascendancy, Palantir was added to the S&P 500 index of America's most valuable companies in September, and then added to the NASDAQ 100 just a couple weeks ago, which is a really nice way to end out the year. I mean, a pretty blockbuster year to get into the NASDAQ and the S&P in 1 year, really within 3 months. So we did have Karp being named as the CEO of the year. That's exciting. That was nice. Nothing too crazy in terms of Palantir stock movement from that news. No big headlines that we saw from it, but it was nice to see that Palantir did get the CEO of the Year award. And then this quick 40-second clip, I think I shared this yesterday for some people, but this was the All In podcast discussing Palantir as their biggest surprise of the year as well.
Okay. Let's go to business surprise. Did you have a business surprise over there, Saxy Poo?
I said Palantir was the biggest business surprise this year. I mean, I thought the company would do well, but its stock went up 5x this year, from $16 a share to 76.
Completely counterintuitive. The market cap of Palantir just passed the market cap of Lockheed Martin. The amazing counterintuitive thing about Palantir was how much time they spent with their customers. Everybody shat on that idea, and they were totally right.
Okay.
So Chamath kind of referencing the idea that in 2022, the biggest bear case that I was hearing on Palantir was that they're a consulting firm that can't scale. And in reality, if you looked at their margins, they were not consulting firm margins. They weren't Accenture, Deloitte, KPMG type of margins. They were selling software. They were just working with their customers diligently. Palantir only has a little bit of over 600 customers. I mean, they really are just getting started, because 600 customers is nothing, right? It's like they want to get to 10,000 customers one day. So in those early days in 2022, when they had like maybe 200 customers, yeah, they were spending a lot of time with those customers. The market interpreted that as consulting, whereas in reality, Palantir interpreted that as like actually providing value. And I guess providing value ends up being a pretty good business model, because the market has accepted the value of Palantir in the context of how they're scaling, but also the emphasis they're having on customer loyalty in the process of scaling. So it was really nice to see Palantir get that award yesterday, get some more recognition. And it's just been an incredible year for Palantir, and I think we will continue to see further upside. Now, one person that was not the happiest with Palantir yesterday, or maybe they were very happy with Palantir yesterday, and that's why they decided to do this, was Cathie Wood. Sold off 103,000 shares of Palantir. Now, this might be for rebalancing. 100,000 is a little bit aggressive, so I think it's more so profit-taking versus rebalancing. But with that 100,000 shares that she sold, she bought CRISPR, GitLab, about 219,000 shares of that one. Google was supposed to buy GitLab out. That never happened, but maybe one day that happens. And then 10x Genomics. So swapping Palantir with some genomic plays. I mean, look, every time she does this, she ends up putting the money into plays that, I don't know, I just don't think have as much potential as Palantir. But I think Cathie's thinking valuations up there for Palantir to double. It's going to take a lot versus some of these other names to double or to even get 50%. Maybe she's right on that. Maybe she's not. But I think she still has like 15 million shares of the company, maybe a little bit less than that. So this could have been a rebalance, but 100,000 shares sold by Cathie yesterday. She has 11 million shares. Okay, so she has 11 million shares of this one as well. CRISPR is a big one, though. She's loading the boat on that one. And CRISPR, let me check their stock. Again, these are in DNA sequencing. There's a little bit more that they do than just that, but that's the gist of it. Yeah, year to date, it's down 40%. So she's obviously thinking that this one is not being looked at correctly by the market. And maybe she's right. I do think that a lot of these are either hit or miss. You got to get the drugs right for them to work. But that is the swap that she made yesterday for Palantir versus CRISPR. Yeah, she has been loading CRISPR for years. It has been a long time loading up that name. But that's what we got in the context of Palantir. So overall, nice to see Karp get recognized as CEO of the year and get a little bit more mainstream recognition as well for the company. Okay, let's move on to macro. There's a ton of random macro headlines that I want to discuss. So let's get into that, and I'll get everyone's thoughts on what these headlines look like. Oh, by the way, I saw Squid Game. I saw Squid Game 2. First of all, did anyone watch it? Put in the chat. Did anyone actually watch Squid Game? She also loved Teledoc. Yeah, she also did love Teledoc. That is fair. No, yes. Some of you guys. Kathy did not sell Archer. I think she bought Archer actually recently. I don't think she sold, but she has a decent Archer position. Okay, I'm not going to do any spoilers. But I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Objectively, I think when people watch it, they're not going to like it either. I'm not alone on this. I was reading some reviews last night. No spoilers, but I didn't like it. I would give it a 5 out of 10 as a series. Very short. There's only 7 episodes. I feel like they needed to add more context. I don't like the storyline. I don't like the route they went. I really don't. I think I had so much potential to make this way more exciting. And then the way they ended, again, not going to say anything, but just I wasn't a fan of it. I was not a fan of it. So it's one of those things, dude, that really hurts because you guys know I don't watch TV. So when there's a show I'm looking forward to, I'm actually like paying attention to it. And I was just like, this is ass. This sucks. This is like just not good. So, I mean, look, I definitely think people should try it out, but I was not a fan. I had higher expectations. And you know, when I was reading the reviews last night, a lot of like the OG Squid Game community fans, they also had way higher expectations than what got delivered. Now, quite frankly, I was about to say the CEO of the show. This is what happens when you think about the stock market. The creator of the show, he basically admitted he came back for the money. You know, the first Squid Game was a passion project. Like he really wanted to put his art out there. The sequel, which what it tends to be in the show business, is for money. And so because it was for money, you could kind of tell like just the magic that Squid Game 1 had captured was not there. And so it is what it is. We can hear the pain in your voice, dude. You think you get a good show. You think you want to enjoy it. And then it sucked, dude. In my opinion, it just wasn't good. But it is what it is. Got to move on from it. Hopefully I find it. Now I'm looking forward to You, season 5. But that's going to come out probably in March next year. So until March, I have no TV to watch. But hopefully that season 5 is not that bad. All right, headlines. Money market funds, $54 billion increase over the past 6 days. Now, this was a little surprising last night when we found out this news when the market closed. Last week, we saw net outflows of $19 billion. This week, we saw increases of $54 billion. But markets are basically at all-time highs. I mean, they're a little bit below all-time highs, but they're still up there. So my take is that the FOMC meeting scared people on the week of 12/20. Those people took profits. They shifted that money from the profits that they took into money market funds. But then people came in on Friday, which was the short-term bottom or the local bottom on December 20th, and they bought up equities. And that's why equities are still at basically all-time highs, even though money market funds are increasing by $54 billion. Now we have $6.81 trillion all-time high on the sidelines, just chilling, waiting for a big opportunity. And so I imagine if we get a little bit of a correction, you got $6 trillion on the sidelines that's going to be ready to come in and buy the dip. But that money is definitely waiting patiently on the sidelines, only getting 4%, or I think 4.25% on their money. Now, Goldman Sachs came out today and they actually said they expect JPOW to pause until March. They expect him to cut by 25 bips in March and then get 2 more cuts in June and September of 25 bips. So JPOW and the Fed on the summary of economic projections, they said, hey, we're only going to do 2 cuts. Goldman Sachs thinks we're going to get 3 cuts, but we're not going to get them until March, June, and September, which means we're going to be delayed until March, paused essentially. And then we're going to be delayed in the middle of March and June, and then in the middle of June and September. So we're going to get 3 cuts next year. That's what JPOW thinks, which I think would decimate returns in money market funds, or not decimate, but it would make it really anti-competitive with equities. And that should be enough to get money to come off the sidelines. But next year, we're going to have to see kind of how people think about risk-free returns versus taking on some risk for returns. Rob, thank you for the $20 super chat. Amit, are there any other companies you know of that had a profit miss on ER because of a SARS payoff, and how did the market react? I think it's priced in for Palantir. Yeah, so we talked about this yesterday, but the SARS miss that Amir made a really good post on yesterday, it looks like, well, and we'll talk more about it weekly. Tonight, we'll have Palantir Weekly at 11 p.m. Eastern. We'll talk more about that. It definitely looks like they're going to miss on SARS. Or on net income because of this $120 million SARS expense. Like when you do the numbers, and Amir does a pretty good job just showing the numbers, it definitely looks like there's going to be a miss. However, I am starting to think the street's going to price it in. Now, I have no knowledge of if they will price it in. I think they will because it's so freaking obvious. Like if you're any analyst that has any level of understanding of Palantir, you know, if you're a general retail investor who's not like literally following it day to day, you probably don't know about this. But if you're an analyst where your job is to follow Palantir, you should know when the company has had such a tremendous year that it triggered a random rule that requires them to take on this expense that has nothing to do with them, but has everything to do with the stock performance, which again, they can't really control the stock performance in and of itself. So I think it's priced in, that $120 million miss, but the algos might not price it in. The algos might not care. If they see any miss on earnings, they might just dump it. But that dump, if it's priced in, would be short-lived, right? People would immediately come in and just like take advantage of that opportunity. So I don't know. I have no clue how the market's going to interpret it. The market could say, hey, down 30%, or the market could say, oh, this doesn't matter. Look at the revenue growth. It's at 35%. Let's go up 30% or up 10% or whatever they do. Or it's flat, you know, and Palantir just holds its multiple. So no clue kind of how that's going to play out, but I do think that'll be not that big of a deal for shareholders, especially if everyone knows about an upcoming EPS miss. Then it's not news. Like when Robinhood missed on revenue, no one really expected that, even though we should have expected that. But like either there was miscommunication between Robinhood and investors, but their contra revenue, the money that they've given out to get people to transfer their accounts, that had to be subtracted from the revenue. And I didn't even know about that. And I follow Robinhood pretty closely. So that's where you get a real surprise. For this, I don't think there's going to be that big of a surprise. So hopefully it's not the same. Bsop says, didn't Hood also have some sort of random change that should have been known and also dumped earnings? Yes. But the fact that I didn't know about it and I follow Hood really closely means I can understand why other people didn't know about it. This one's pretty obvious for Palantir. I mean, this one is not even deep into their financials. This is just like, hey, the stock has gone up. Employees have options. They had to exercise them at 70, which means you had to incur this expense. You would hope the street catches on. And if the street doesn't catch on, it is what it is. Maybe that's an opportunity. But if they do, shouldn't be that big of a deal. Cool. So going back to money market funds again, I think that it's not that big of a deal in regards to that being loaded up on the sidelines, but that does mean that there's a lot of money waiting to potentially be deployed. And I know I've been saying this for months now, but it's true. There's just like a ton of money waiting on the sidelines, and that money eventually, hopefully, will get deployed in equities as the returns go down for money market funds. A couple other macro headlines. Netflix. We have numbers on the football games. Chiefs and Steelers grew 24.1 million. And then the Ravens and Texans brought in 24.3 million, making them the most streamed games to date on Netflix. Not bad. So they brought in basically 50 million people on Netflix watching those live games. That's a pretty damn big audience. They paid $150 million for those two games alone. If they can prove to the NFL that Netflix's reach on these football games is better than a lot of the other mainstream networks, maybe there's a shot. You get more and more games on Netflix, and that is Netflix's next category of growth, which is just licensing a lot of the media from all these other different countries that are out there, or from all these other different sports leagues that are out there. NFL watched in 200 countries. Wild. Yeah, I mean, without the NFL, this probably would not be watched in 200 countries. Or sorry, without Netflix, this wouldn't be watched in 200 countries. But you know, that's what we got in the context of Netflix. So that's not too bad. Now, here's another chart that I found yesterday that was kind of surprising. And you guys won't relate to it most likely, because from the answers I got from you guys last week on how much you guys are up year to date, I think you guys are beating the average retail investor. But take a look at this. The average retail investor, according to JP Morgan, is just up 9.8% year to date. I was pretty flabbergasted when I saw this, because I mean, most of you guys were telling me you're up like 300, 400%. So this is definitely a very average retail investor, to say the least. At the same time, the S&P 500 is up 26.6%. Underperforming the S&P is just not a good year. This year's retail performance is the second weakest out of any year where the index recorded a positive return since 2015. That stat was also interesting to me. Like, how is this the second weakest year since 2015. That's incredible. Retail investors are also on their track for their 4th straight year of underperformance versus the S&P 500. It makes sense in 2022 and maybe 2021 and maybe 2023 because no one really believed in the bull market. But in 2024, it was a bull market. And it's very surprising that there was that type of underperformance. This comes as many individual investors sold their best performing assets during the August pullback, including Nvidia and Tesla. Retail traders, this argues, are potentially struggling in this market. As Bad says, we are not average. Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't think any of you guys are up 9.8% on the year. Maybe one of you guys that is managing millions and just wants to like keep the millions versus like take on crazy risk. But a decent amount of you went risk on this year. And I think most of you, even if you just bought and hold a couple names, are probably up more than 10%. So this just goes to show you how hard it is, A, to invest, B, to self-direct your investments, and C, to not get caught up in your emotions. Because I think the average retail trader, if they have zero understanding of buying the dips, zero understanding of being patient, zero understanding of finding opportunities, finding asymmetric bets, etc., then they potentially sell their winners during August 5th, which is not the time to sell objectively, or they stay in bad stocks and don't tax loss harvest. I mean, there's probably some people that are still bag holding Celsius from like the 90s, right? That's probably a ton of retail investors as well. And I've had my fair share of mistakes also, but 2024 was a good year. And so the lack of performance in 2024 probably could have been attributed to like just lack of, I guess, emotions and being able to just hold on to your stocks when you need to hold on to them, or double down when it's time to double down, which is fair. Investing is hard. It's not easy, but this was a great year. So that was a really wild stat for me to kind of see in terms of how retail just underperformed. I started in August and I'm currently up 130%, 9.8%, and 126%. Mike says I went up 9% in 2 days. Yeah, and again, look, 2020. I don't want to get too euphoric. It's been a really good year in 2024. We might not see triple-digit gains in 2025, but in 2024, this was the year to do well. Now, granted, I'm the one who in 2020, I've said this many times, I sucked in 2020 because I was just getting into the markets. In 2020, I think in some respects was a better year than 2024. Just in terms of everything going up without any reason, because we printed money and rates went to like zero. Like I think at one point rates went negative in the United States, but the rates we were in ZERP, right? So anything would go up, and I still lost money in 2020. That's how bad of an investor I was. So maybe 2024 got a lot of people into the markets, and it was a learning year for them. But I think the far majority of people, if you bought pretty much 80% of the market, there's a good 20% that underperformed, but 80% of it. And I'm saying 80% because 80% of earnings beat on the top and the bottom line. So you had good earnings this year as well to justify a lot of names that people didn't expect to do well, but that ended up doing pretty damn well. And so it's kind of important to, have a community together of people that can get you a lot of crowdsourced DD. But I would imagine the average retail investor doesn't have that community, or just doesn't have access to information, or just is like super, super emotional on this stuff. So that's what we got in the context of those stats. I thought those were pretty interesting, and hopefully 2025 is a better year for all retail investors. Here's another video that I thought was interesting. Chamath gave his biggest business disappointment for the year. I'd love for you guys to give your take on this as well in the chat. And the answer was quite surprising.
Do you got a biggest flop, Chamath, this year?
Okay, this is going to be a controversial take. I think the biggest flop, I don't want to say it's a flop, but I think the biggest disappointment of this year to me was OpenAI. I'll tell you why. I think they are the most at risk, mostly because of things that are out of their control. So number one, I think the quality of these models have hit a wall, and it's the folks that own private information, for example, what Elon owns through X, that is going to make the game changer in the quality.
We talked about this yesterday. Elon owns Twitter, or X. That is all the data that fuels Grok. OpenAI owns nothing proprietary for data. They're going to have to shell out millions of dollars to media companies to get their data, but right now they don't have an actual data source.
The models. Two, he's actually bought now not just the largest NVIDIA cluster, but he's promised to buy 900,000 more. Do you know what happens when you buy 100,000 and then promise to buy 900,000? Not only are you at the front of the line, you consume NVIDIA's attention. And what that means is it's going to be so hard for everybody else to get a hold of what they need to train. I think it's a very tricky situation for those guys.
I think that's fair. We've been talking for a while now about what is OpenAI's moat, and I think a lot of us are confused on what it is, if it's just a model. So, Chamath kind of pointing out that, hey, if it's just making a model, the other guys are catching up and they have better data than what OpenAI has. Speaking of buying GPUs, take a look at this chart right here. In 2024, it's estimated that Microsoft bought 485,000 of NVIDIA's Hopper chips. This is more than double the purchases by ByteDance, Tencent, or Meta. And as a result, demand for NVIDIA's GPUs has exceeded supply for the second consecutive year. This is another reason why people feel NVIDIA is not as cyclical as others think, and that this is going to be a long-term story that plays out. Microsoft obviously has been buying these chips to develop data center infrastructure, and these data centers will be used to run AI services that can be rented out to customers via Azure. And so the more chips they have, the more Azure AI workloads they can continue to sell. So, I mean, the fact is, NVIDIA is going to get a ton of demand from this. NVIDIA is getting a ton of demand from xAI and OpenAI. The difference is xAI has Grok, which has access to 500 million people tweeting every second. OpenAI has nothing. So I really do think that is something that we have to think about as a differentiator. Because when it comes down to the data advantage, these models constantly need new data. And there's this thing going on in the Valley, if you read some of these tech publications, about a data wall that's starting to be reached, which is, and Sam Altman's denying this, but I don't really believe him here, because at the end of the day, they've trained off all the data they could possibly train off of. So you need more data. And the solution to this that some LLM PhD AI folks have suggested are the LLMs making more data to then train off that data. The problem is the LLMs suck at being creative enough to make new content. And then if you're training on regurgitated content, you're not actually developing new modules for the LLMs to get smarter for. So we need the data, which means you need people like you and I on Twitter tweeting random thoughts, and then Grok is able to condense all that and then make the models even better. And Elon owns all that. Google has YouTube. This video, YouTube's probably going to use for training. Meta has Instagram and Facebook, where they have tons and tons of content every single day they can use for training. So what does OpenAI have? Nothing, except a deal with Reddit, I think. Or no, Google got the Reddit deal, right? Not even OpenAI. So I think that is going to be a question. I don't think that's going to be a thesis breaker on the startup. I think if they figure out how to monetize because their model is just better than everybody else's, they can survive. But eventually they're going to have to keep training, and they're going to have to pay lots of money to, like, I think they already have a deal with Politico and The Athletic to get data to train on. They're going to have to dish out tens of millions of dollars to more media companies to get the data to be able to train off of. Because right now they don't have it. They also said you can't scale on an X-size cluster 100%. That's also another thing that matters. Isn't X data a bunch of trash? Yes. So if X has, I think the stat is like 80 million tweets a minute, I would say 79.99 million of those tweets are trash. But that final little 0.01% of tweets that are valuable from like big accounts that are tweeting about macroeconomic events or financial data or analyzing the crypto markets, that stuff really matters. And that stuff, when being used to analyze queries that people have on Grok, that stuff's important. But the fact is, Elon has access to that privately and no one else does. So I think that's another reason to, I guess, be a little bit more bullish on Grok. It's just that the OpenAI models are still better right now. Like, they just objectively are. And I think Elon's going to catch up. But until they catch up, that's where OpenAI has their moat. When they are fully caught up, I don't know. I don't know how exciting OpenAI is going to be on their next valuation raise. Speaking of valuations, one of the reasons why valuations are strong this year, I saw this stat yesterday and I thought this was an incredible stat. Almost $1 trillion, $947 billion of stocks, of equity was bought back this year. It was bought back this year from companies. So when we look at the S&P 500 trading at, I think, 22, 23 times TTM earnings, it's important to remember a lot of it is not just based on earnings or revenue growth. It's based on Google, Amazon, Apple, which is the biggest beneficiary here, buying back their stock. Even freaking Robinhood bought back $97 million of their stock. Palantir, I think, bought $40 million of their stock last quarter. I'm also going to be really interested if Palantir bought back any stock this quarter, because Like, yeah, we all know the stock's expensive. It's up there. But if Palantir's like, yeah, we bought 1 million shares at $80 or 1 million shares at $75 and they spent 75 million, that's basically them saying, yeah, we believe that we're undervalued at 75. And it would be a boss move to do that because obviously everyone is saying, hey, they're expensive right now. They're extended. If Palantir's like, yeah, no, you can think we're expensive. We think we're kind of cheap at 75. That would be wild. Now, odds are they probably don't do that and they kind of hold on to the money and get a return from their treasury income, which will go down given rates came down. But that would be pretty dope if they did do that. So we're going to see. We're going to see if we can continue to get more buybacks next year, even at these valuations, and if that can help prop up the markets. Let's take a look at what we got going on in the pre-markets. We got about 15 minutes until the market opens. Crypto names are red to start the day because Bitcoin right there slowly falling below that $96,000 level. Coinbase down a little bit. CleanSpark down 2.8%, down another 0.29%. Marathon up a little bit. MSTR is up a little bit after falling 5% yesterday. MSTR basically trading flat over the past week. And then Robinhood slightly down. It was up 2% yesterday, down about 0.32% right now in the pre-markets. On the Mag 7, you got a bunch of red. Tesla's down 1%, Nvidia's down 1%, Amazon's down 0.5%, Google down 0.5%, Meta down 0.5%, Microsoft down a third, Apple down 0.23. Apple is $4 away from being a $4 trillion company. It hit 260 yesterday. Maybe it happens towards the end of the year. You got all the Mag 7s that are slightly down currently right now. Semiconductors are basically all red as well. AMD is down about 0.5%. SMCI is down. Only ones that are green are TSM up a little bit, ASML, and then Broadcom, which has just been having an incredible run. I mean, you literally could have bought Broadcom 2 weeks ago and saved your portfolio for the year. Like, imagine you're a fund manager that's underperforming and you just took like a $10 million bet on Broadcom right before earnings. I mean, you're up 50% or 45% in like 2 weeks. Like your whole portfolio is boom, now green for the year because of this one name that had just a monster run. So pretty exciting to see some of these names outperform towards the end of the year, but this is why there are still opportunities, even though we get into the end of 2024. So that's what we got going on in pre-markets. Anything else crazy? Mag 7, again, we looked at those all kind of red. FinTech is kind of red right here. SoFi's down by 1%. Robin is down a little bit. Affirm's down. PayPal's down. Oh, speaking of Affirm and Hood, found this piece of news yesterday, which is pretty exciting. Oh, we also got some breaking news. Before I get to that new piece of news, breaking news, Trump has asked Bill Gates to come to Mar-a-Lago tonight. Or sorry, Trump says Bill Gates asked to come to Mar-a-Lago tonight. So you got Mr. Billy Gates deciding to go pay a visit to the next commander-in-chief. If this is accurate from what Trump is saying, then that means he's not inviting Bill Gates. Bill Gates is trying to invite himself. I'm sure Trump would take the meeting. And who knows? That is probably going to result in something that we'll find out over the next coming months. Again, it seems like every single person wants to meet with Trump, and I'm sure Bill Gates has plenty of interests that he wants to protect, so he will continue to probably try to get those interests in the right place and be friendly with this administration. Now, here's a piece of news that I got from yesterday. Robin is doing buy now, pay later, folks. It's out. Robin is doing buy now, pay later. And now it's not like they're not like marketing this as an official product, but they do have in the credit card, which there's only 100,000 people that have the credit card, so it's a very slowly rolled out product, especially in the buy now, pay later part. But you can choose a payment plan to split up your monthly payments, just like you would do with Affirm or Klarna, etc., right through Robinhood. Why is this exciting? The reason this is exciting is because, again, it shows the versatility of having a very sticky ecosystem. I mean, the game plan for those that don't understand it on Robinhood or aren't seeing it is very obvious. Get tons of users, build world-class products that they like to use, and then just keep offering more products on top of that platform and have more people adopt those products as it becomes a daily part of their life. That's simple. That's the thesis. And if they continue to do this, I think that we're going to probably see even more momentum in regards to them expanding into different verticals. Again, very low key. They're not really marketing this. They just kind of put it out there. They did say they have a surprise coming up on 12/31, which who knows what the surprise is now, but they did say 12/31, we will be having another surprise. But overall, pretty bullish as they continue to expand into different areas as well. Bill Gates wanting to see if Trump is a red flag for Elon. Yo, Matt, I think, what if Elon's going to be there? What if Elon's there? Like, how funny would it be if Elon, because Elon was on the Sundar call. When Sundar called him, Elon was like, "Hey, what's up, Sundar?" And they actually started being more friendly on Twitter after that exchange. So maybe that was a positive change. But then also when Tim Cook came to see Trump at Mar-a-Lago, Elon was there as well. He had dinner with Tim Cook and Trump. It would be really funny if Elon was there and Bill Gates walks in, and the concept of shorting Tesla pops up on the dinner table. It would be very interesting. Yeah, Bill, you still short? They would have to laugh about it. There's nothing you do other than laugh about it. Jeff Bezos as well. Yeah, dude, the billionaires are taking over the White House, bro. They are trying to get their agendas passed through Mr. Trump. I guess we're going to see what happens with that meeting. Speaking of Trump, let's get an update on tariffs. So we will get the economic impacts, or at least the perceived economic impacts on tariffs pretty soon as Trump takes office. Here is one analyst and their thoughts on what the impacts will be like and what it means for equities long term.
This in addition to threats from more tariffs on products from China and other countries. Joining us now to talk about the potential economic impact, former White House counsel and economic advisor, senior trade economist Christine McDaniel. She's a senior research fellow at the Mercatus Center. And Richard Stern is a federal budget policy director at the Heritage Foundation. Great to have you both. Christine, I'll start off with you. Is this just an opening salvo, or do you think that it actually gets signed, via executive order on the first day?
We don't know yet. What we do know, though, is that, if the tariffs do come into play, they won't be costless. And so, I'm really hoping that the administration can get something out of these tariffs, by either working with other countries, if it's for protectionist purposes, making sure the domestic industry has a plan, and, importantly, knowing what you want. Right, President Trump can be very good at making deals, and we see that it works when there is a clear, gettable win. And so I'm hoping that this.
You definitely just made up that word, gettable. That sounds like a word. Is that a real word? That sounds like a word I would say, and I would be wrong about.
Administration knows exactly what they want from the tariffs, and other countries are willing to make deals.
Let's talk about that gettable win, Richard. Some are saying that Mexico, in response to the threats, has already moved to stop immigration across the border, has moved to stem the flow of fentanyl across the border. Is that a gettable win? Because ultimately, who is going to pay the cost of that tariff? It's going to be the American consumer. I mean, the Wall Street Journal had this article yesterday about the most affordable autos. Most of them are made in Mexico. It could mean a $3,000 increase to the price of a $30,000 vehicle if there are tariffs put in place. That's sort of the risk reward here that we're balancing, Richard.
Well, absolutely. But I would say this, though. So some of the tariff burden is felt by foreign producers. And the other piece of that also is, keep in mind that we're going into a tax debate next year, as a lot of tax provisions are expiring. The revenues raised from these tariffs could easily be used to cover the deficit impact of cutting taxes that would be pro-growth for the economy, that would put money back in the pockets of American families. And in fact, most of those tax cuts that we would like to do and extend are vastly more productive for the economy than the modeled harm that even Tax Foundation and other groups have talked about from some of the tariffs. So even using that way would be a win, to raise revenues, to use it to cut other much more harmful taxes. But certainly a third of Mexico's economy is related to exports to the U.S. I think the movements you're talking about are already showing that they are willing to work to try to avoid those tariffs by following through on their commitments, by closing the border, by not just letting cartels and drug groups run the southern border. So I'm very optimistic about what will come from this.
All right, so I just put the poll in the chat. Let's get a preliminary view of what you guys think about tariffs, good or bad. I have no clue, dude. We just heard the bull and the bear case. The bear case is consumers will have to pay more, inflation, yada, yada. The bull case is we're finally going to be able to use something to negotiate with our adversaries or our allies and be able to import things for cheaper, which should theoretically increase GDP. I don't know, dude, because I still am not sure how Trump's going to implement them, where he's going to implement them, what sectors he's going to implement them on. Like, for example, automotive parts are the second leading cause for the increase in CPI outside of shelter. If we tariff the crap out of Japan and Mexico and a lot of these places where we get our cars from, I don't think that's going to help automotive inflation, right? Theoretically, that should increase prices, which would be bad. But if he's tariffing other parts of the economy and not automotives, and automotive inflation comes down, but other parts slightly go up, maybe that balances out inflation and that increases tax revenue we get from tariffs. Like, I don't think anyone fully knows. I think everyone has an opinion on it. Right now, it's 60-40, you guys are saying in the poll on bad versus good. But I think we're going to have to see what gets implemented in the first 100 days to kind of figure out if it's really going to affect equities in a bad way. Oh, look at who's calling. Look at who's calling. Steve, good morning. You're on the Market Open. How are you?
Good morning, Matt. How are you?
I was going to call you after the opening bell because we got 4 minutes until the bell, but happy you called. How are you?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Do you have any thoughts for us as we get into the final 4 minutes before markets open today?
Yeah, I'm wondering why Palantir feels sick tonight.
You kind of sound a little sick. Are you sick?
I mean, did they catch a little cold or something?
I mean, I don't know, dude. At $81, they're looking pretty hot to me. Not too sick.
I mean, I'm seeing red. That means that they may have a little case of the sniffles or something.
First of all, how was your Christmas? Did you enjoy? You spent some time with family?
Yeah, it was great.
Okay, good.
How about yours?
It was good. I just stayed at home, didn't do too much, and I got to sleep. I really got to sleep, which was nice.
Listen, you need your sleep.
I need my sleep. I absolutely need my sleep. Oh, I watched Squid Game 2 last night. It was horrible. Hated it.
I was going to watch it. I was thumbing through things, and I ended up not watching it.
Good.
I watched some random YouTube thing. Actually, there's this woman on YouTube. She's been on a bunch of different podcasts. She used to work at Goldman. I think her name is Cody. Starts with an S. Anyway, super smart. I'll figure it out. Send it to you. Worth watching. Very interesting.
Okay, very cool. I think if you're free today, I can call you at like 9:45 and we can talk in depth on the show. Are you at work today? Do you have work this week?
I am in the office, even though it's a light week. I have some things I have to get done, but I'm around.
Okay, I will call you. I imagine no one's doing anything in the office this week. That's not at your company. That's at every company.
That's, believe it or not, it's surprisingly busy.
All right.
But
all right, I'll call you in a little bit after the bell, and we'll get your thoughts on this market as we end up the year.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, call you in a bit. Yeah, guys, Squid Game sucked. It was, for those that are just joining the stream, it sucked. It was not good. I didn't enjoy it. You guys can watch it for yourself to judge, but I did not enjoy it. Now, we got some retail inventories data today. Retail inventories, excluding autos in the United States, increased by 0.6% month over month in November 2024, following an upwardly revised 0.3% rise in the prior month. Advanced estimates showed retail inventories ex autos in the United States averaged 0.29% from 92 to 2024, reaching an all-time high in December 2021. This is technically good for inflation because more supply means that the demand can level out. If we had a low supply of inventories, for example, of laptops, and people want to buy a laptop, then the price of laptops naturally goes higher. So I think this is technically bullish. But overall, we're going to really need to see inflation come down with the amount of supply that we have on the shelves. And hopefully that brings prices lower going into 2025. 1 minute until the market opens. Bitcoin kind of flat, 96.2. Tesla down 1%. I don't think we're going to have any crazy movement as the market opens, but let's see today if there's any big movers or if the market kind of chills out and we end out the year around this range. Got 2 more days left after today. 2 more days left after today. Yeah, it'd be funny if I call Steve and Palantir's green by 9:45. Or like, Steve, I think Palantir cured its sickness over the past 15 minutes. We're good. That'll be so funny. It'd be so funny if we go green. Is Squid Game subtitled? So I watched it in English. I didn't watch it in Korean. I know people will get mad about that. I don't care, dude. I wanted to just hear what they were saying. But I just feel like the storyline itself wasn't as good as it was in season 1. And that was the bigger problem. All right, Friday, December 27th, last couple days of 2024 for trading. The stock market is once again open. Wake your ass up. Let's get into it. Tesla is down 1.29%, 448 on Tesla currently right now. Palantir down about 0.32%. Got a little bit of a green candle right there, though. It was chilling at 81.06. Now it's at 81.92. So we are still red from yesterday, but we are green from the pre-markets. Robinhood, $40.31, basically flat on the day, down 0.05%. Robinhood slightly red. You got SoFi right here, 1641. That's down about 1.2%. IWM, 224. Small caps, again, go down just a little bit, 0.77%. Netflix, 918. That's down 0.65%. Apple down 0.3%, 2 for the 8.51 on Apple. You got TLT continuing to be a massive disappointment, down about 0.36%. Where are the 10-year and 2-year yields? 10 years at 4.595, so basically 4.6, which is definitely making it a little tough for TLT to get some movement. Bitcoin, 96,142. GameStop's down about 1%, 3272. MicroStrategy, wow, below 340. MicroStrategy down another 1% as we open the markets. MSTR is down. Marathon's down. MSTX is down 2.3%. NVIDIA's down 1%. Broadcom's down 0.5%. Oklow's up 1%. CrowdStrike's down 1%. Dave, fintech company, financial services, that one's up 1.95%. S&P slightly below 6,000, down 0.5%. And the Qs are down 0.5% as well. So you got the indices actually going down as we get into a little bit more of a red day. Most of the stock market is down. That is correct. Rocket Lab, great day yesterday. Does anyone know why Rocket Lab was up 7%? I mean, this thing just catapulted to 28 all-time highs, and it's staying there. I mean, it's the second day in a row where it's actually holding above 28. So nice move on Rocket Lab. They're holding green. Grab's down 2% right here, 486. Microsoft down 1%. Square down 0.27. PayPal down 0.84. Rumble's up another 1%. Pfizer's up a little bit. Nike's flat on the day. Hood still flat. Tesla down 1.28. Kohler up 5%. Palantir down 2%. So this is the first test of Palantir being able to hold above 80. We got 33 cents between 80 and 79. So let's see if Palantir can hold that and keep its momentum. But we are there. Grinder just went green, 1824. So you're up about 0.39% on Grinder. Bitcoin, 96,000. MSTR healthily below 340 now, down about 1%. Redwire, competitor to Rocket Lab, they're up a little bit as well. And then Oklo up 0.62%. Are you still buying more Grab? Yes, I'm still buying more Grab. In fact, I would love for Grab to get to the 450s, and I would really start buying more. It's been holding up pretty well around 485 to $5. That's been kind of the good range that it's been in. But so I don't really see it going that much lower unless the entire market takes a pullback. But around this 485 range, I think is not a horrible spot for Grab. But I've been buying at 490, $5, etc. Google, yeah, where's Google? Where's the Max 7? Let's take a look at the Max 7. Google is down 0.5%. Everything's down. All the Max 7s are down. Tesla leading the way. NVIDIA not too far behind at 138.32. So you got NVIDIA down along with the rest of this market taking a little bit of a tumble. And again, this is not really red. This is just, I guess you got 2 days left of the year. People are taking some profits type of red. We're definitely not seeing a full-on rally like we saw yesterday. Maybe that reverses towards the end of the day. But I think even if we ended at these prices for the year, even if the S&P ends a little bit below 6,000, which my prediction is 601.27. That's my number on where the S&P ends. And I think we get above 6,000, but in this range, I don't think is horrible for us to be in. Bitcoin right there, just below 96,000 now as well. WIMI is up over 100%. What is this one? WIMI Hologram Cloud. Market cap of 256 million. The amount of small caps that we've seen pump in the past 3 months is kind of insane. I mean, we have seen companies like WIMI Hologram, which I don't know what they do, but they're up 100% today. We've seen at least 15 of these examples in the past couple months of just small caps that just start pumping. You could argue that's a lot of froth in the system and that's going to be flushed out. You could also argue that people have tons of profits on Tesla and NVIDIA and they're selling some of those profits and they're gambling with a little bit of their money into some of these small caps. I think it could be one or the other. But a lot of these names have definitely found a bid in the markets as more money has rotated to them. This is with $7 trillion being on the sidelines still, which is pretty incredible in terms of people being able to allocate capital and rotate. Palantir falls below 80. There you go. Palantir going below 80 Dolores right here is 79.56 on Palantir. I think there's a chance we end above 80 towards the end of the year, but if we end, anywhere in the 70s, I think that is incredibly bullish, even if it's 75 or 72, whatever it is. But I do think if we get a little bit of a melt up towards the end of the year, you're going to see Palantir above 80. You're going to see a lot of these names. Meta is going to be above 600, etc. And then we just end out the year the way we end out the year. Archer, where's Archer? Are we moving again on Archer? Wow. Archer, dude, what a story. I don't know if this is like a retail community that keeps pumping it, or if these are institutions that are coming in, or if it's heavily shorted. But every day this thing goes against the market and it goes green when the market's red. And it's up a lot. It's up more than 300% now from the October lows. So Archer continuously doing well. Joby as well last week or yesterday was up 10%. Joby's down 1.5% after being up 10% yesterday. But Joby was doing pretty well. Tesla below 2%. Robinhood probably falling under 40 right here, $40.06. So Robinhood going down with the rest of the market. Grinder below 18. SoFi below 1650. IWM down 0.5%. Apple's down. Yeah, pretty much everything's red. I don't see too much. Archer's a little green. Next Decade's a little green. ArcG's a little green. Mercado Libre's green. Oxy's green. Nubank continuously struggling down 0.5%. And S&P 500 looks like it's going to go down about 1% right here. So we are indeed down. Reddit, let's check Reddit. Reddit is down as well, down 2.2%. The fact that things can fall this easily kind of shows you as well how extended the markets technically are. Even though, one could argue that these are great dips to take advantage of. I don't know if this is the biggest dip. I think we got to see like 3 or 4% down in the S&P, which is what we saw last week. That was the dip. Down 0.77% in the first 7 minutes of the trading day. That's not really classifying as a dip, but if we see the sucker go back down to 580, 575, which is what we saw last week, maybe that becomes more of a dip. But we do have some red, as it looks like fund managers or anyone else are taking profits before the end of the year. This is normal market movement, 100%. This is absolutely normal market movement, especially after the green that we had last week, because we had a lot of green last week. What else? D-Nut, this is Krispy Kreme, right? Donut. Yeah, those guys are up a little bit as well. How much is their stock up year to date? D-Nut stock. These guys are up. No, they're down 33%. Oh, wow. They've had a nasty decline. So Krispy Kreme down about 40% year to date. I think there was a headline about them partnering with some company back in like March, and we talked about them, but we haven't talked about them since then. But stock has not done too well. Archer kind of losing its gains right now as the entire market takes a little bit of a hit. Yeah, Archer basically is about to go red right here. Palantir down a good 3%, 79.65. Robinhood just below 40. Tesla down another 2%, 445. And then SoFi here at 1630. So now we got to see where the bottom is. This is kind of a 1030 slam happening at 935. We got to see where these stocks put in a bottom. And I think we'll probably see it in the next, I would argue, 20 to 30 minutes. We'll see a little bit of a bottom and a reversal on a lot of these names and some green candles. But until we see that, we are still headed lower. NVIDIA right here down about 2% currently right now as well. Oh, yeah, they partnered with McDonald's a couple quarters ago. Yes, correct. That was the partnership we looked at, McDonald's. Doesn't Santa rally extend to January? Yes, the first 3 days of January. I think it was the first 4 or 5 days of January. Basically, the first week of January is part of the last 5 days of December, which is that quote-unquote Santa Claus rally. But today is one of those days where I guess Santa is refueling his, what do you call it? What is that thing he flies on? What is that thing? The reindeer... What is that thing? What is the thing that Santa gets in that flies across the world? What's the name of that thing, dude? I'm having a total brain fart here. Sled. Yes, the sled. The sleigh. Exactly, the sleigh. I was about to say it's eVTOL. Santa's on his eVTOL. Yes, his sleigh. I guess he's refueling the sleigh, dude. At least today. Because oh, wow. We're definitely... Dude, we're getting some red. Robinhood's down 2%. Tesla's down 2.3. SoFi, they're taking SoFi back below 16. Palantir 79.45. Palantir looks like it might go down about 4 or 5% right here. This one's definitely free falling. No green candles yet, folks. Everything is still red. Where's MSTR? MSTR has got to be at like 335, 333 on MSTR. We're going green, or sorry, we're going red. We're going red. It's because we have Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer on Santa's sleigh. That's why this is happening. We got to blame Rudolph. It's his fault. Belly, I promise I did not see your comment before I said that line about Rudolph's nose being red. But yes, exactly, 100%. Rudolph's nose is red. That's why this is happening. Oh, it is Friday. I forgot. That also makes sense why we're selling off. I forgot it's Friday. Dude, during Christmas break, the days just like, you don't even realize what the days are like. I forgot it is indeed Friday. And Friday tends to be a little bit more of a sell-off. All right, I think we're getting some of a green candle. Are we getting a little bit green candle? Yeah, there's a green candle on Hood. There it is, 39.58. That was the bottom so far on Hood. That was green. Let's see if Tesla has one. Oh, Tesla has one as well. It's fighting for it, but it has a little green candle. Dude, stocks move together so clearly. It's kind of crazy when you really see how stocks move. A lot of times the market moves together. S&P, there's a green candle right there. Reddit, there's a green candle right there at 171.64. Now we're at 172.30. MicroStrategy, there's a green candle. We're probably going to have it on Palantir as well. Palantir, yes, we do have a green candle. It's hard to see, but the bottom was 79.17. Right now we're at 79.29. So we're only 8 cents above. But still, it is wild how the stock market moves in unison sometimes. SoFi, there's your green candle, 1621 to 1639. It's kind of insane, bro. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, these algos are so sophisticated in terms of how they move up and down. And realistically, it's hard to get one name outperform all these other names on a day where everything's red, because if they're all going up, they're all going to go up. If they're all going down, they're all going to go down, unless there's something very specific like earnings about an individual name that gets it to detach from the market. Now it makes all the sense in the world why Apple is at almost 4 trillion, because if the market's going up, Apple's 7% of the S&P. It can't not go up with the market. And you got Apple right here at 3.8 trillion. There's the green candle on Apple. 256.11 was the bottom. So when did we put in the bottom so far? 940. It looks like 940. It's 942. We got to see if that bottom holds. But 940, it looks like we put in a little bit of a bottom on the market. We'll see if that can hold. Palantir. Is Palantir holding? I think Palantir's holding a little bit of it. No, Palantir just broke its bottom. Palantir just broke its bottom. All right, so Palantir's going red. 78.80. The bottom was 79.17. Palantir officially breaking its bottom. Hood breaking its bottom. Tesla breaking their bottom. Dude, everything moves together. It is crazy. Look at that. Look at that red candle on Tesla. We just went green. It went to red. Robinhood just went red. SoFi SoFi slightly above its bottom at 1621. But it looks like that's going to give out. Apple holding on to a little bit of green. But you got some names breaking their, even Reddit almost ready to break its bottom. But it's a slight one because you got a rebound right here on a lot of these names. Palantir right back to 79. But it is wild. Intel's green. Is Intel actually green today? Dude, Intel. What a story on Intel. Intel somehow's green. Yeah, 2045 on Intel. Slightly green right here. Citadel, Q, Alpha moving all stocks in sync. Yeah, 100%, dude. All of these guys together. Starbucks is green. Yeah, Starbucks is green on the day as well. Starbucks 92.34. Where is Berkshire? Is Berkshire green? Market giving a little bit of love to value. Let's see. Berkshire is green. You got Berkshire going green. So you got growth taking a little bit of a hit. Berkshire is green. Value is going green. Again, some of these bottoms at 940 are being broken through. Archer just went red 1.4%. It was kind of crazy because Archer was up almost 5%. Now it's red. S&P still not finding its bottom. You would think at 598 it recovered. It did not recover. You still got a nice moving downtrend on the stair steps as it goes below. Hood also going, continuously breaking its bottom. Looks like we got some room. SoFi just breaking its bottom. We got a lot of room before we put in the intraday low. It is Friday, though. I mean, I totally forgot this morning was Friday. We kind of have to expect a little bit of volatility. Broadcom down 3%. NVIDIA down almost 3% as well on the day. Boeing is green. Yeah, Boeing's been a champ over the past couple of weeks. Boeing's been holding up. Boeing just slightly red on the day, but 181 we were at on Boeing. Boeing bottom was 127 a couple months ago. So nice recovery on Boeing from 127 to 180. Is this slam because of options? It could be. Today is Friday, so you definitely have a bunch of options expiring. So that could be a reason. I also think, it's Friday. People are taking profits. And in general, what I think could be happening here is you have fund managers that have been debating taking profits at the end of the year. And they might have decided today, you know what, let's take 10% profits or 20% profits or 5% profits, whatever it may be. Because you have more sellers than buyers, right? And you have no event right now that's creating momentum-driven news to have more sellers than buyers. It's not like JPOW said anything, at least not that I've heard of. So I think this is people waking up and just saying, you know what, we'll pay the taxes. We don't care. We're protecting some of these gains and hedging against some of the weakness we might see in the last couple of days of the year. Or we might see a lot of strength in the last couple of days of the year, and this might not be the best time to sell. But nonetheless, we are seeing people take some profits. VIX is up 10% as well. Yes, VIX is up. We checked Kohler. Kohler is green. Again, the reason Kohler is green is because of the Bitcoin treasury strategy they employed or deployed last week or yesterday, literally. So that's why that one continues to be green. That one's a little scary to me. I'm not going to lie, dude. This is a company in Kohler that does less than 10 million in revenue, has zero earnings, and is worth $1 billion. I mean, look, they have a big retail army. They just did the Bitcoin treasury strategy. So I guess that's what they've got for their benefit. I am personally staying away from the name. I kind of just don't like being in those types of speculative names. But for those that got in early, congrats. And if you're up big, then maybe consider what the position looks like and if there is real momentum for it long term. VIX right here is up 8%. So you got definitely a volatility spike today. I don't know what's the reason outside of it being Friday. I mean, trying to see if there's any headlines right here, if there's anything crazy going on. But I don't think there wasn't any macro data that was bad. Yeah, I mean, take a look at this heat map. Take a look at this heat map. We definitely do have some red right here. 10 years ticking up to 4.6, but we had that since yesterday. Maybe the market's getting more excited for that 10-year, which means they're getting less excited for equities. But we definitely got a red start for the day. We definitely got a red start for the day. I don't think there's any crazy geopolitical stuff. There was some headlines with Israel last night, some headlines with Russia, but I don't think there's anything crazy to keep keep things super red. This was signaled to us though in the pre-markets. In the pre-markets, we saw that things were red. Just didn't know they would get as red as they are. All right, Palantir getting a nice green candle right there, 79.88. So that's a little bit of recovery. You're getting a little recovery in Tesla, a little recovery in Hood. Probably going to take some more time. Grinder back above 18. SoFi back at 1630. Netflix back above 900. Apple still down 1%, but it's up from 256.11. GameStop was up 7% yesterday. Now it's down 2%, but you are green from 31.67. And then Bitcoin, oh boy, Bitcoin looks like it wants to go below 95. Bitcoin doesn't look the best. Bitcoin's got to hold these levels. It's been very volatile the past couple weeks. Hopefully can hold on these areas. Where's AMD? AMD is green. You got AMD going green. All right. That's not bad. Is NVIDIA still red? NVIDIA is still red. There's a green candle right there at 136.2 at 137 right now, but it is still red 2%. And then Archer just went green as well. So Archer fighting back from that $10 range. Palantir 3 cents away from 80. Looks like Palantir wants to get back to 80 as well. Incredible strength. This is what I mean by Palantir kind of moving with the market. Like for Palantir to go substantially below where it's at right now, it would have to be something on earnings or something dramatic in the macro that brings it back down. But every time it takes a little bit of a hit, there are people ready to bring it back into that $80 range or a high 79 range. And that's where it currently is right now. Thoughts on RGTI? I don't have any thoughts on the quantum names. I'm not in them. Haven't done too much research on them. It's up another 17%. I'm sure there's a fundamental thesis behind quantum. I just haven't took the time to study it yet. So I'm not in any of the names, but if you're in and if you got in early right before the quantum wave happened, which kind of started by Google pushing everything with Willow, then you're doing very well. Now, do you hold it or do you sell it? I have no clue. That's where it takes a lot of like actual DD on is quantum like an industry that's going to be around for a long time that you should bet on at this moment? Or is it a little bit of a fad? I have no clue. But the names are definitely getting some benefits right here. MicroStrategy still down 2.4. MicroStrategy a little recovery on the green candle, but MicroStrategy continuing to get hit right now. Was there a time when Bitcoin wasn't volatile? Probably not, but it's being annoying, bro. We wanted to see this thing above 100,000. We want to see this thing above 100,000. We got to see. We got to see if by the end of the year people let it get there. All right. What other headlines do we have? AMD is green, so it's nice to see AMD go opposite of NVIDIA. I think a lot of people have been waiting for that for a while. But now we are currently trying to see what's going on. Oh, here's some good stats. Look at this. Just found this right here. Top 5 traded equities by retail. Top 5 traded equities by retail in 2024. NVIDIA was number 1. Wow. NVIDIA, the S&P, Tesla, the Qs, and AMD. Huh. AMD's actually been up there in 2021 and 2022. 2023, it was Tesla, SPY, Q, NVIDIA, Amazon. This year, it was NVIDIA at 30 billion, SPY at 15, Tesla at 14, Qs at 10, and AMD at 10. So you definitely have those 5 as some of the biggest traded securities this year, particularly by retail investors as of 2024. That's why the average is only up 9%. Yeah, that's facts. That's probably fair. That's fair. Especially if you're trading it in and out of some of those names. These are names you kind of hold long term. I mean, I can only imagine the amount of retail that sold out of Tesla before the run. Like, it is what it is, right? A lot of people probably, when it was dropping to 130, 150, they got scared. And like, for good reason. I mean, it definitely can make you scared. But I think about it the same way as Palantir. It's like, I don't think Palantir and Tesla are ones that you sell. I think you keep them for a very long time and you just hold on. So I think that'll happen with Palantir. If it ever has a big pullback, you'll get people that get scared of it. But Tesla, really amazing outperformance towards the end of the year. Now, AMD, I mean, that's probably another reason why retail investors didn't do that well this year from the data we looked at this morning. People could be bag holding AMD pretty aggressively. But NVIDIA and Tesla, as long as you held on to those guys, they continued to show a lot of momentum. What do you think Palantir would close at today? I don't know. It depends on the market. It depends on how this market either reverses or not. If we further go into a red decline, then we're probably closing in that 78, 77 range. If we recover, maybe we're back to 80. Palantir right there, right at $80. Got to see if we can hold it, 2.6%. But we are still red on the day. Uber, let's take a look at Uber. Uber today, what do we have on Uber? Uber is slightly red, down 1%. Uber still, I think, has been bottoming at the $60 range. I do think Uber is going to be a good trade. I think the FSD Tesla narrative will die out in like the next 2 quarters, just because like markets are going to care about actual earnings. And that narrative will be back eventually, which is why I don't like Uber long term. But Uber at these levels, I do think they put up good earnings and the market buys them. The Tesla FSD narrative would have to be so strong in 90 days. Like, we're talking like amazing progress. Everyone's talking about it. The market can't ignore it, yada, yada, which I think that'll happen. I just don't think it happens the next couple months. But if that does happen, then I think the Uber narrative is going to get hit bad, because the future growth that the market's pricing in is going to be not priced in, because they're going to assume less growth. Palantir right there, back above 80, 80.14 right now. But if that narrative is not as intense, then I think Uber's earnings are going to speak for themselves. Not in the Uber trade, but I do think Uber hopefully can do well. It kind of reminds me of Google, where sentiment was trash. It's just that Google's a much bigger, better company than Uber. You know, they just have more resources. But that is one thing I think the market's thinking of right now when it comes to Uber. Reddit's down 1.5, Joby's down 1.8, Tesla still down 2, Robinhood down 2%, S&P recovering to 597, but S&P still down from 6,000 as well here today. Have we discussed the Vivek stuff? So we haven't discussed that. Vivek and Bitwise, both of Vivek Strive Asset Management Firm and Bitwise, which is another Bitcoin fund, are starting a Bitcoin bond ETF. So that news came out yesterday. And that's really interesting, because the convertible bonds that only institutional investors have had access to apparently there's other ETFs that are starting to get on the bandwagon, and they're going to be trying to invest in Bitcoin bonds or convertible notes. So if that's the case, then retail investors might be able to get exposure to something like MSTR's 2029 convertible notes, which would be pretty interesting. Yeah, I think it would be just as volatile as Bitcoin. If you believe in Bitcoin and believe in those proxies, then if they go up or down, that'll be determined if the ETF goes up or down. But we're going to see a lot more money entering the space, especially with products like this. I mean, if people can access convertible notes from these Bitcoin treasury companies via a ETF, if that's simple to access it, then yeah, there's going to be a lot of money continuing to come into the space. Tesla below 440. Okay, now we're getting a little bit of a dip. We're getting a little bit of a dip then. Yeah, there you go, Tesla. That's Tesla's independent of the rest of the market. I mean, the rest of the market's down, but Tesla's getting hit, I think, the most out of a lot of these names, down almost 4% right here. 438.7 on Tessie right now. We are cooked today. Hopefully next week we rally. It is a Friday. I did forget. It is a Friday. Fridays tend to be a little bit weaker. It didn't even feel like a Friday when I woke up, dude. It felt like a Monday, to be honest. But maybe that's the reason. I'm looking at some headlines on my other screen. I can't find anything. There's nothing too crazy that I see. Again, I also think this is healthy. I think we probably need a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of a consolidation of some levels, especially based on Friday's reversal that we saw. Any crazy headlines? No. OpenAI just came out with a blog post. They said that they're going to be turning into a profitable company. We got the Dan Ives upgrade on Apple. Goldman Sachs said we're going to get 3 cuts next year. Nothing. I think really this is just people wanting to take profits. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. Tesla's still down 438, Hood 39.57, S&P 597, trying to hold on levels. Speaking of OpenAI, let's get an update on that news as well right here and see what OpenAI is trying to do with their entity.
Was in the works. They're now acknowledging some cash realities here in a blog post too, saying we once again need to raise more capital than we'd imagine. Investors want to back us, but at the scale of capital need conventional equity and less what they call structural bespokeness. That bespoke structure wasn't something investors loved. Those I'm talking to are relieved at this pivot. And right now, the company does involve multiple entities. You have a capped profit company controlled by the nonprofit, which will still exist. It's still going to pursue charitable initiatives with a significant interest in the new public benefit corporation. PBCs do operate with a traditional governance and share structure, but they have a dual mandate. That's the big difference, both a fiduciary duty and then a publicly stated mission as well. Names like Ben & Jerry's, Patagonia are well-known examples, plus some AI companies, XAI and Anthropic. No word, guys, on when this is actually going to happen. And there, of course, is the Elon Musk factor here. The OpenAI co-founder and Tesla CEO suing to block the company from making this for-profit pivot, described it as a total scam on social media. OpenAI has fired back, saying Musk is trying to slow the company down as he builds his competitor XAI, and that Elon pushed for this for-profit transition before he left the company, guys.
Yeah, isn't that the sort of the brouhaha here, Kate, which is that OpenAI firing back at Elon Musk saying, hey, wait a minute, like you were for profit before you were against profit.
Yes.
This is turning into a war of words.
Absolutely. And they came out with some receipts. They showed emails saying that despite Elon Musk filing multiple lawsuits here, they said you accusing Musk of wanting, to change the structure and saying you were for this all along. And also highlighting the fact that he now has a major competitor, which is XAI, and a name to watch next year. Obviously, Elon, a lot more influence in Washington at this point. It is really seen as a headwind for OpenAI, as much as they might want to change this corporate structure. There's no saying that this won't happen. But in addition to Elon Musk, you also had, and XAI, you also had Meta and Mark Zuckerberg's side of this piling on and writing a letter to the Attorney General saying they also supported blocking OpenAI's transition here. So interesting that it's actually not just bust.
Wow. That is wild. I did not know Meta is joining the party. Obviously, they would love to block OpenAI becoming a profitable company because that would give them an advantage. But you got all of big tech kind of conspiring right here to maybe not let Sam Altman do what he wants to do.
You also had Meta coming in and saying this might not be the best thing for the industry. So as much as they want this transition to happen, I think there's still some questions of if and when this could actually go down.
It's really confusing just because it has taken so much outside money from venture capital and from Microsoft. It already seems like it's profit. Okay, thank you very much, Kate. Kate Rooney.
Sarah.
When we come.
Interesting. The big boys are fighting with each other for this AI arms race, and Elon's got the ear of the president. Sam Altman doesn't. So that is one thing that he has an advantage of. Still red, folks. We're still red. Disney's red. United Airlines is red. Teladoc's red. Arc's red. Meta's red. Coinbase is red. Everything is red. AMD was green. Now it's down 1%. Palantir still slightly below $80. 79.45. Berkshire is green. Value is green. Starbucks is green. Quantum names are green. Rigidity up another 17%. So that one's green today. MicroStrategy is red. Joby's red. S&P is red. Hood is red. Hood. Oh my God. Hood maybe below 39 right here. Makes sense. Market's down. Hood is down. Bitcoin's down. Hood is down. So Hood getting some of that volatility right there. SoFi struggling to stay above 16, but it's holding. And then you got Netflix down 3% as well. Apple down another 1% on the day. So we are indeed red right here. May, can you explain how the ETF NVDX works? Just got a 12.9% divvy, down 2% in less than a month. So NVDX, I think this is a yield max. Is that one of these? Yeah, this is. No, I don't know if this is yield max. The thing about, so I don't even fully understand them that well, but some of the thing about these single stock ETFs, especially the yield max ones like AMDY, MSTY, these are companies that pay like an 80% dividend. So every month you're getting like 10%, which is insane. But they are highly, highly volatile based on the underlying. So NVDX, I haven't heard of this one, but this is 2x long NVIDIA. So it's down 6% because NVIDIA is down 3%. But the dividend you get is really nice because of the volatility you have to endure holding on to these ETFs. I'm sure there's another technical explanation for how you get that dividend. Same thing with BITX. They're 2x leverage, so they give a pretty good dividend as well. But the problem is obviously the volatility of the asset class can outpace the level of dividends you get, because if you buy them at the top, like MSTY, there were some people that bought this thing at like $50, right? Now it's at 29 and they haven't done that well, right? Or if you bought it at 35, went all the way to 26, even though you're getting a good yield, if it keeps going lower, then the underlying just hurts your cost basis overall. But they are risky. They're sort of a new ETF that has got really popular over this year in terms of dividend-paying single stock leverage ETFs. They're just super volatile against the underlying. But if you get it in the right direction, then it goes very green. Like if you got MSTY at the bottom or AMDY at the bottom, which some people are thinking this is the bottom for AMD, then they can perform very well, and the dividend is also really good. AMD 123, NVIDIA down 2.7%. NVIDIA continuously seeing some red. Starbucks is up 1%. Berkshire is up a little bit. Krispy Kreme's up a little bit. Reddit's down 3%. Robinhood barely holding on to 39. Tesla below 438. And then S&P is down a full 1%. You got a red day, an actual red day on the S&P. Who's buying? Is anyone buying this dip? Some people are saying they're buying AMD. Palantir broke 79. Is anyone actually buying anything right here? Palantir, this is ridiculous. Correct. This is ridiculous on Palantir. Selling calls are working out today. Yeah, selling calls are working out today. Covered calls towards the end of the year on pretty much any name have been pretty good. Robinhood right below 39 right there. So the covered call strategy towards the end of the year has been good. Towards the first 8 months of the year has been horrible. But not too bad during the end of the year. The problem with selling covered calls on a red day is that your premium goes down substantially, right? That's the beauty of markets, right? So on a day where XYZ stock is down 15%, you sell the covered call because you think you're hedging yourself. The time to do it was before it fell 15%. If you do it when the stock's down 15%, you're going to have to pick a more aggressive strike. And if the stock rebounds, then you're underwater. So really, to sell covered calls, you got to be pretty keen on a green day to decide that green is not going to last forever and then sell the covered call. And that's the day where the gamblers step in and they buy the call, right? Because they think the thing is just going to keep going up. And for the majority of the year, they've been right on a lot of names. But sometimes, or actually a lot of times, in a regular market that's not super bullish, the call buyer is wrong. And again, even if you can sell the call and you get caught underwater, but you can roll it effectively, you tend to get out of it. Obviously, with a name like Palantir, you've just been digging a bigger hole. But we have seen, at least towards the end of the year, people be able to navigate it. Palantir right here down 4%. So you're getting an official decline on Palantir, 78.55. That 940 bottom has been breached by pretty much every name. So we're building in new bottoms right here. Tesla 433 as well. Tesla about $3 away from going below 430. Currently right now, Grab's at 479. Wow, Grab's getting hit as well. Goodness, this entire market's getting hit. Yeah, that's a new low we've seen on Grab in the past couple months. So you got Grab down about 3.4% right there. Red days are good for cash credit puts, 100%. Definitely not bad to sell puts when the market's red. Again, I don't see any headlines. I don't see any crazy headlines. We can see if we keep declining, but everything still tends to be normal outside of people taking profits. Nothing too insane. Did Powell speak again? Powell did not speak again. The market's acting like he did, but he did not. Let's get a little bit of an update from markets. Let's see if the 10-year or anything else is maybe affecting what we're looking at right here.
Well, and for them, it's high because they're getting out of decades of deflationary spiral. They're finally seeing some inflation, and the market is trying to push them to raise interest rates.
Remember yesterday when I spoke some Japanese and you were shocked?
You always surprise me with your knowledge. Lower, sure.
Best performing NASDAQ 100 stock, Broadcom.
Yes.
It's up 48%. Number
it had
two,
a game-changing quarter.
Your buddy Elon Musk and Tesla, but 20 points less. The number one performing stock, Broadcom, 48% this month. Number two, Tesla, 28%. So AVGO, Broadcom, destroying everybody this month.
Yeah, so this month, the best performing sector in the S&P is consumer discretionary, and that's because Tesla is a big weight in that. And we're talking about big numbers. These sectors are up more than 5% apiece. Communication services up more than 5%. Alphabet's also had a good month. And some people were worried about Alphabet and the rise of AI and whether that would threaten the dominance of their.
Well, is it Gemini
engine.
good? If you believe AI is everything, okay, then you've got Microsoft's Copilot, you've got Gemini, you've got Sora, you've got Grok from X, you've got OpenAI, which ChatGPT is kind of the quote winner. Perplexity. Can they all win? Or again, does some die? Do we start to see mergers? Or do people test things out and say, which one of these right now is the best? I don't know.
No, and I think they also.
Yeah, no one has any headlines on why markets are down. No one has any headlines. Tesla getting hit, bro. Down 4%. Tesla's getting hit. 435 on Tessie. SoFi 7 cents from going below 16. We got some red. We got some red to end out the year. Maybe it's setting us up for a good next 2 days, next week. But we got some red. Where's the 10-year? Is the 10-year spiking? The 10-year has to be spiking on this. Yeah, 10-year. I mean, well, 10 years, it's at 4.58, not 4.6 yet. But if you round up, that's 4.6. It's not helping. Definitely not helping. It might be the 10-year yield, but the 10-year was higher than it was yesterday, and markets were up. So I don't know if it's the 10-year. I definitely do think the market's trying to normalize 4.5. Maybe they are not going to be able to fully normalize it. Palantir as well, down 4%. But it could be rising bond yields. That could be a reason. We did see 54 billion go into money market funds last week. Maybe people hiding for safety. I don't know. I think the one thing we do know, Tesla now below 435, is we cannot be surprised in January if we see a substantial pullback. What is substantial? I would say a minimum of 10%. That would put the S&P basically at 550, a little bit below that. That would put Tesla probably in the 380s. That would put Hood in the high 20s. That would put Palantir in what? The low or high 60s, mid 60s. SoFi would be at like 14 something, like or 1350. Like we would see, if we see those 10%, if we see a 10% dip across the entire market, I don't think anyone would be afraid of that. It would probably suck to go through it, but I think everyone would be like, all right, yeah, this is like normal. Things were expensive. It's just no one wants to see it before the end of the year. I think everyone's mentally ready for it. Like, I'm pretty sure if you've been investing all year, you've done well, you are mentally ready for a pullback. It's just the nature of dealing with markets. You know that things go up and down eventually, but everyone wants to see it next year. Not at the end of this year. Will you buy the dip? Yeah, I'd buy that dip, dude. If I get Hood at 29 again, I'd buy. If I get Tesla at 380, I'd buy. I mean, like, there would be great opportunities there. The question is, the hard part about buying that dip is like, all right, this is the New Year's dip. So does that dip have bad headlines that compound that dip and we're in a prolonged dip? Or is that a rebound? Because the other thing I think we're not used to yet as a like, I guess you could argue investing community, and it's not just this chat, it's like the entire population of investors of 2024, every dip has been eaten up. Every single dip within maybe 2 days max. The September 6th dip, eaten up. The October 5th dip, eaten up. The August 5th dip, eaten up. The 12/20 dip, eaten up. The April 18th dip, when the Israel-Iran stuff broke out, eaten up. The NVIDIA dip in February, I think it was February 18th, eaten up. Every single dip within a day, really less than a day in 2024, market stepped in. Market did not care. They were like, we want exposure to equities at these prices. Does that happen in 2025? That's the question. Does the market continue to say, hey, these dips are for being bought because we believe in this long-term thesis? Or does the market actually chill and they're like, nah, we're not buying this dip that easily? I think we haven't experienced a prolonged correction since the middle of 2023, to be honest. And 2023 was heartbreaking because July we topped out at 460 on the S&P, which was amazing. And then by October we were at 401. So all the gains from July to October got wiped out, but then October was the bottom, and then we started this bull market into 2024. But we haven't had so that's like 3 months of stagnation. We haven't had 3 days of stagnation in 2024. Like, what 3-day stretch have actually been stagnant to the point where people didn't come in and buy the dip? Even last week, we had 2 days before Friday, 12/20, after Wednesday's J. Powell presser, markets explode right before Christmas Eve. So I don't know. I think we might have to be prepared for that in 2025 if that happens. Amit, just curious, what's Santa rally if market drops by 1% during these Santa rally days? There wouldn't be a Santa rally. So Santa goes up. The Santa rally implies a 1.5% average gain from basically the 24th until the 3rd of January or the 4th of January. If we go down 1%, then it's just a flat rally. There is no rally. It's just flat. So we're going to have to see 2025 where that comes into. VIX right now, VIX is up 11%, but it was up 8%. Now it's up 11%. So volatility definitely increasing. I'm just trying to find out the reason. Does anyone have a reason for this? I don't even mind that we're down right here. I just want to know why. And I don't have a reason why. The only headline we had is Bill Gates will be visiting Trump in Mar-a-Lago. That's it. That's the biggest headline I saw today. Outside of that, I don't see. One thing you could argue is volume is low on some of these names as well. So this could be a volume-less driven end of year sell-off. Could be end of year rebalancing. Correct. That could be the case. Palantir now down 4.2%. Where's Tessie? Is Tessie still getting hit? Yeah, Tesla is struggling to hold 430 right here. 431 on Tesla. Could it be other markets taking profits because they could trade during the last 3 days? It could be. It could be international. That could be one of the reasons. It could also just be, super random and there's not really a reason for it. Again, I don't think there's anything to freak out from. The market, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm freaking out about it or anything. It's just, when you see red without a reason, you try to figure out. Tesla right here down 5%. This is like relatively healthy given how explosive of a green rebound we had from last week. I just want to know what's the reason. And I just, SoFi right here below 16. I don't have a reason. Maybe the reason is there is no reason. And that's why we're going down. But I don't see any fundamental argument for why markets are red right here. Where's oil? Is oil up today? Oil's up a little bit. It's up 1%, but that's not a ton. Could be rebalancing. Yeah, it could just be rebalancing. LOL, you are so freaking out. I just want answers, dude. When you don't have answers, that's when, like when we fell on JPOW, I mean, I was not even for a second thinking of selling anything or freaking out. I was like, okay, I get it. We sold off because the market had no idea how to interpret the syllables that JPOW was talking about when it comes to rate cuts. I got it. I think that's a stupid reason. I think we'll rebound. And I mean, we did. Like it was a pretty stupid reason to fall, and we rebounded. This one, I just don't know. It really does feel like end of year, people just taking some profits. Also, tax loss harvesting, that's a big thing. I mean, we're getting to the last days of the year. You got people that probably have some losers, and they're like, you know what? This is the time, if there was going to be any time, to sell and officially save some money on taxes. All right, we got Ed Yardeni on CNBC. Let's get his thoughts on what's going on and what he thinks going into 2025 as well.
The Yardeni research president has liked the U.S. market, has been right with his optimistic call. Is it time to turn the tables and go abroad, Ed, now?
Not really. I'm probably going to overstay my welcome in the United States. I've been recommending staying home rather than going global since 2010, and it's worked. I'm shocked at how well it's worked. At some point, I guess it's going to stop working, but the U.S. has a lot going for it. For example, earnings are probably going to be up quite dramatically this coming year. We're looking for $285 a share for the S&P 500. I think we're above all the strategists on the street, and that's an 18% increase. And I see the market going up on earnings, not on valuation, just on earnings alone. I think there's a lot of upside in the U.S. market. Foreign markets, not so much. As you said, it's kind of a messed up world. I'd love to be a contrarian, and I agree with your thinking along contrarian lines, but I just can't get there based on what I see in terms of the economic and political fundamentals.
What is causing earnings expectations in the U.S. in your mind to go up?
Well, my expectations have gone up for sure, and I think it's that after 3 years of the most widely anticipated recession of all times, it never happened. You know, for 3 years, there have been fears of a recession. If monetary policy tightening couldn't cause a recession, if geopolitical crisis...
Tesla breaks 430, got 427 on Tesla. So Tesla getting the brunt of the sell-off here today.
These couldn't cause the price of oil to spike up and cause a recession. What's really left? Well, you know, I think you can come back, and I would come back with, I am concerned about tariffs, but I don't think that's going to lead to a recession. I think it's going to lead to some serious negotiations about freer trade. But at the end of the day, the outlook for earnings is totally dependent on the outlook for the economy, which looks great to me. And we've been talking about the roaring 2020 since 2019, and it's been roaring. Stock market record high. Earnings have actually done very well up to now, and we think they're going to be driven by productivity.
So I just posted, Ed, to my Twitter, or X as they call it. What's your best not you, but what do the viewers think is the better investment bet for next year? U.S., Germany, China, or somewhere else? So I'd like you to answer that question. But I think you've got Sarah and I's macro point. We're just observers up here. You're the expert. But our macro point was that with Germany so weak, and Brazil's a disaster, and China's stimulating, but that's probably not going to work. Is this, meaning the U.S., and I'm going to put an eagle on my shoulder and eat apple pie and a hot dog, is this the most investable market in the world because the rest of the world is still so screwed up?
Yeah, I think that's really the bottom line. And it's it summarizes exactly what's going on overseas. Things are a mess. And the outlook for the U.S. remains strong. The dollar's been strong. And of course, we've got a tremendous amount of consumer spending. A lot of baby boomers are retiring and spending their nest egg. So consumers have been remarkably resilient. They actually like high interest rates. And then capital spending hasn't been interest rate sensitive. Quite the contrary. It's remained very strong because a lot of it's technology. 50% of nominal capital spending in the United States is technology. And
so kind of the same argument we've been hearing from Yardeni for a while, which is that the U.S. is the best place to invest in. Although we're red, folks, Fartcoin is up 9%. This is, again, why I don't trust this red, because I don't get how this thing goes red. This thing was 62 cents, by the way, last week. So it had kind of collapsed from its highs of 120. Now it's back to 102. So the meme continues to live on. But we do have some green in the meme coin markets, if not in the equity markets, which is, I mean, I don't even know what to say. I guess there's outside capital that wants to bet on memes versus betting on Tesla. Tesla right there at 428. That's a nice red candle, down 5.6%. Hood down 5%. SoFi down 5%. Palantir basically down 5%, 4.79. NVIDIA, I mean, down 4% on NVIDIA is not a joke. That's also red. Okay, so here's the question. Do you guys think we reverse by 4 p.m.? What do you guys think? Do you think we reverse by 4 p.m. or you think we hold these lows or make new lows? What do you think? Reverse or new lows? Reverse or new lows? I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to bet. Reverse wouldn't mean we go super green. Reverse just means like NVIDIA closes at 137 versus 134, even though it opened the day at 140, right? So that would be a reversal in my opinion. A super reversal would be NVIDIA goes green by the end of the day, which I don't know. Given how red we are right now, I don't see that happening. But maybe. Maybe. Okay, let's do a poll. Let's see what you guys, I think you guys are 50-50 on it, or split. A reversal towards from this red would be quite astonishing. I mean, that would be great strength. I don't know if we have that strength on a Friday. Reverse from the lows or keep bottoming. More red, some green. All right, polls up. Let's see what people think. If there was a reversal, I think it would have happened already. Maybe. I mean, we still have a lot of hours left. 2 p.m. is when you tend to see a little bit more market movement if there is a reversal. And then 3 p.m., it can either confirm the 2 p.m. movement or not. That's what tends to be power hour. Yeah, Palantir officially down 5% right here, or 4.7%. Uber's down 2.3%. Grinders down 3%. IWM, small caps getting hit, down 2%. Where's the Qs? The Qs must be getting hit. Qs are down 2% on the NASDAQ. That is red. We've got some red. Red. Poll says 51% of you guys say more red. Yeah, 50-50. 49% say reversal. 51% say more red. 10:30 is when Palantir pumps. That'd be funny. I mean, would you buy Grab here? Yeah, I'd buy Grab here, dude. Grab. I mean, look, my thesis on Grab is pretty steadfast in my mind. And so I like it at these levels. I believe, I mean, at this point, let's just do the math on it. 30% of 475, $1.42 of every $4.75 you're buying is cash. I mean, if you believe in the fundamentals and you basically are paying less than $3 for the business, then that to me is a good deal. I personally believe that's a good deal. But it'll go down if the market goes down. I mean, it trades on the NASDAQ. So if the algos are taking down Tesla, they're going to take down Grab. And that's just something everyone has to watch out for. Berkshire as well, down 0.12%. MSTR down 3%. Reddit's down 4%. I see a little reversal in some areas. S&P is down below more than 1% right now. Tesla trying to reverse from 428 to 432. There's that little green candle right there. 426.5 is what it hit. Now you got some green, but overall still red. Buying Hood here. Yeah, I like Hood here as well. The only thing, if you're buying Hood here, you just have to remember that if the markets go down, Hood will go down. Hood is not going to counter the markets. So Hood is a bull call in the markets. They are still very tied to market movements. They say that they're diversified as a business, and they are, but the far majority of the revenue comes from market sentiment being good, which creates more trading. So I like Hood for the next 10 years. I think they're going to diversify into becoming a financial powerhouse, but they're not there yet. It'll take time. And so I would love a dip to I don't know, $30, $28 if we get there in the new year. I don't think we get there. We would really have to see a 10-15% decline in the market. We would have to go through. The last time we had a 10% correction was August 5th. And that lasted for a total of 2 hours. We have not seen a 10% correction since then. We just haven't. And again, this is one stat since 1950 that has been correct about the S&P 500. Every year you get one 10% dip. And people thought in 2024 we were going to avoid that. And then August 5th happened. If you look at the pre-markets, the S&P hit 507. That is exactly, it's quite poetic, exactly 10%. And then we rebounded. And that's it. The Qs hit 420. That was exactly 10%. Then they rebounded. So the idea that we don't hit a 10% dip next year is counter history. And if we do, the question is just when. I would love to get it over with in January, February. I would not want to see it like in the middle of the year. Like, I don't want another August surprise. That's not fun. I'd rather it happen in January, even though people probably wouldn't buy the dip because they'd be afraid that that means the whole year is going to be red, but that would be the perfect time to buy the dip. And if that happens, obviously Hood, SoFi, these names are going to take a little bit of a tumble. Palantir right here, 78.34. They're down 4.6%. Grab down 3.7. Qs down 1.9. And when the Qs and the S&P and small caps are down, every name, whether it's Grab, Palantir, Robinhood, Archer, MicroStrategy, all these names are going to get hit. There's no escaping it once the indices fall as much as they fall. Where is the 10-year? 10-year still at 4.581. The 10-year still up there. Where's Rivian? Yeah, where's Rivian? Let's look at that one. How is that name done? Rivian, RVN. Yeah, Rivian's down 4% as well. It's better than where it was 2 weeks ago, but Rivian's down as well. All the semis are red. Look at the semis, left-hand side of the screen. All of them hit. NVIDIA down 3%, Broadcom down 3%, Taiwan down 1.3%. Dell is down 1.5%, Micron down 1.8%. Everything's taking a little bit of a hit. RGTI, Rigetti, this one was outperforming today. This one's up 5%. It was up 20%. Now it's up 5%. So if this one can hold on to its green, that would be impressive. But this one also might succumb to the red. All the quantum names just went red. Wow. Holy crap. All the quantum names besides Rigetti just went red. D-Wave went down 3%. Quantum computing went down 6%. IONQ's down 7%. Rigetti's the last one left holding on to its green. And we might see that one potentially go down here. People anticipating January profit selling. Yeah, I think that could be the reason. It's the best reason out there because there's no fundamental reason for some of this red. PayPal's down 2%. Goodness, dude. We are red. Red. It's not a Santa rally. It's a nutcracker. That is correct. Look, we still have 2 days left of the Santa rally next week. Maybe those final 2 days bring us green. Or maybe we end out kind of crappy in the red. The thing about ending red this year that would suck is that it would put a little bit of an asterisk or a blemish on a really spectacular year in the markets. And I think it would give a lot of people not confidence going into 2025 if we can't end out green this year, or end out the way people are thinking, which is above 6,000 on the S&P. And maybe it would hurt some of the spirits going into 2025, or maybe that would be a great dip opportunity. No one knows, but I still think we end relatively green for the year before 2025. Bitcoin below 95 as well. Bitcoin not able to hold any signs of strength. 94.6 right here on Bitcoin right now as well. 10:30 a.m. reversal. Yeah, maybe we get a reversal. All right, let's call Steve. Let's see if he picks up. And let's get his thoughts on the markets. So the reason people might sell in January is taxes. So you sell off the stocks now in anticipation, but you'll have to pay taxes right next year because of that. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, I agree. But there might be some people that would rather pay the taxes versus hold on if they think their stocks would fall even more. But you are right on the logic. Steve, good morning. How are you?
What's going on?
I feel like we haven't talked in so long.
I know you were busy last night.
Yeah, I know. I actually did have a meeting last night. I was in a high-level meeting prepping stuff for 2025. So
listen, you are a good role model of society.
Steve, markets are red today. Why'd you have to be such a Grinch? I feel like this is your fault because you're complaining about Palantir being green. Like, why are we so red?
I was just asking if Palantir's sick or something. That's all.
I feel like you're the reason we're red. Like, we are pretty red across the markets today.
I haven't even looked. Oh, look at that. The Nasdaq's down 400. Look at that.
I feel like you love this, and I don't like it.
Well, I don't think I have to watch the market this afternoon for my options that expire today. I can tell you that much.
What do you have covered calls expiring today?
Yeah, I think I have NVIDIA covered calls expiring, Black calls expiring, and then next week I got SoFi calls and something else expiring. Yeah, look.
Gotcha. All right, so
Yeah, I don't have a choice. I got to make some money to write a check. I don't want to come out of my pockets. So, I'm going to use some other positions to generate enough income to buy back my call options on certain companies.
what are your general thoughts on this idea of a Santa rally towards the end of the year? And my question is premised off, do you think the markets have done so well that asking for another 1 or 2% is getting too greedy? Or do you think we should end the year above 6,000 given how good of a year it's been?
Markets are going to do whatever the markets want to do. The bottom line is that these are great businesses that are leading the market, and they're probably only going to get better. And in the short term, I could care less what happens. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if either thing happens. We've had such a good year. People may be scared about next year and may want to lock in profits, or people may not sell as much as people are anticipating and just let it ride into next year, because we are in the biggest quarter for earnings there is. Q4 is the biggest quarter, holiday season. So
are you scared of Q4, or you think Q4 is going to be really good?
No, why would I be scared?
The only reason I think anyone would be scared is that if Q1 guidance sucks in Q4, markets are not going to be happy.
But once again, that's all subjective. That's all opinions. I go by numbers. If the businesses are, and that's one of the things that drives me nuts about the market, is that people don't look at the numbers close enough. Like, if you're invested in great businesses, they're generating great profits, there's no need to worry about day to day or week to week.
Yeah.
Stuff like Meta, stuff like Alphabet, and that's what drives me nuts. You have companies like Apple that generate almost $2 billion a week in profit, and people are worried about Apple. I mean, Alphabet generating 50, 60 billion in profit. These are great businesses.
Okay. So 2025 outlook, I'm assuming you are still holding on to this 7,000 target on the S&P.
I am not holding on to 7,000.
Uh-oh. We got a downgrade or an upgrade? What are you thinking?
No, it's 7,100. It's always been 7,100.
Dude, you're pretty damn bullish. Like,
if we finish at 6,000, what is that?
I think 17%. I think roundabout
1,100 on 6,000.
What, 17%, right? 18%?
And what is the bear case for the market not rallying next year? There is no law that says it has to go down because the past 2 years were good. In fact, we've had many times over the past 50 to 75 years where the market's gone up 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. I am not bearish next year. I think that these companies are going to have earnings that cannot be denied. The only bear case is that we're extended on valuations, but there are pockets of companies like Google that are probably undervalued, to say the least.
I mean, look, the bottom line is people love Costco, okay? People love Walmart. Have you seen what people are willing to pay for these companies? It's insane. So Costco, people are paying right now 53 times earnings for Costco.
Why does that not suggest bubble?
Well, it's not a bubble because these companies are printing billions in profit.
Yeah, but that doesn't. But that's accounted for on these pricing metrics you're using. Like, we know, but people are paying 50.
A bubble is different than being overvalued.
What's the difference?
Is Costco overvalued? Probably, in my opinion. Here, I would never consider buying it here. It's a crazy valuation, in my opinion. But you look at Walmart. 37 times earnings. Is that expensive? I don't know if that's really that expensive, because can you really, and this is what I really started thinking about, can you rebuild a Walmart? Really think about that. I don't think you can. I don't think that you could rebuild a Walmart in this day and age. So is it worth 37 times? Maybe.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But if you're willing to pay 37 times for Walmart, are you not willing to pay what's Alphabet trading at? Are you not willing to pay 25 times for Alphabet?
Yeah, I mean, okay, well, here's another bear case for 2025. Let me get your thoughts on this. Tariffs.
Tariffs.
Wow, you already knew. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
It's a headline. And right now, people are freaking out about headlines. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And I get it. The market's forward thinking, so people try to be forward thinking. But until you actually get, so I'm stealing this from my accountant because I always ask him questions. He's like, listen, it's like, I'm not a fucking mind reader. He's like, I have no idea what's going to happen. He's like, I don't worry about stuff until it gets passed in law. Because he's like, I can spend all my time researching and trying to come up with plans, and then it changed because the vote goes a different way. He hasn't looked at anything forward in so long. He deals with it when it becomes law, and then he figures out the best plan for his clients. And you know what? These things can all change. He's talking about tariffs now. What he's going to implement could be completely different. It's not worth thinking about.
What do you think his strategy is going to be with tariffs? Do you think it's purely going to be, like, for example, let me give you an example. Automotive is one of the two leading indicators of inflation with shelter. If he taxes companies that we import vehicles from, that's only going to hurt auto inflation. So I feel like he's going to have to be really strategic on how those tariffs are deployed.
Yeah, I don't know what he's going to do. I mean, I think it's more likely that he pulls out of World Health Organization. I think it's way more likely that he does those types of things. And then when it comes to tariffs, I think he's going to talk a big game because he actually can implement them if he really wants to. But he thinks of himself as a deal maker. He's going to make a deal, and he's going to use it to try to benefit the country in one way or another. We're not in those discussions. You got some really smart people around him, so I'm not too concerned about it.
What do you think of Mr. Bill Gates going to Mar-a-Lago tonight?
Is he?
He is indeed. That was reported by Bloomberg.
Wow, that's interesting. I figured he'd be wanting to get out of the country.
I mean, if he's visiting Trump, something's going on. He definitely has some things he wants to talk about.
Yeah, he's probably worried that he's probably worried because Elon despises him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? But look, there's I think 2025 is going to be a good year. We just need people not to be crazy and let things play out. If oil comes down, that's a big thing. Get oil down to around 60, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
But do you think oil could fall that low next year?
Yes. Yeah. Look, go to trading economics, go to oil, go to a 10-year price chart. Look at Trump's first term. You had oil in pre-pandemic was in the 40s at one point. The majority of his first 3 years of his term, because we can't count 2020 because the economy shut down and oil plunged. But prior to that black swan event, you had oil trading under 60 for the majority of his first 3 years.
You're right. It was at like 40, 45.
And when he took office in January 2017, oil production in the U.S. was 8.8 million barrels per day, and it got up to 13 million before the pandemic happened. And now it's higher under Biden, but it went from 8.8 to 13 million barrels per day. He is going to go forward with deregulation. We saw it happen in the first term. Going to reissue Keystone Pipeline. And I think that you're going to see production probably get to 14 or 14.5 million barrels per day by the end of his term. Saudi Arabia is bringing barrels back online, and they have to. We need more energy because if you keep it where it is now, with all the data centers that are coming on, with the population expanding, and more people increasing their economic standing, because what happens when people increase their economic standing? They buy goods and services that make their lives easier. This isn't just the U.S. thing. People in third world countries, people in emerging economies When they go from being poor to middle class, they buy dishwashers. They buy other things, ACs that draw electricity. We're going to continue to need more fuel. And now you have data centers, which was never really part of that explosion because we've never seen the rapid expansion in data centers the way that we're seeing right now.
Right.
We've always seen expansion, but not rapid. What I mean by rapid is in the past month and a half, both Meta and Amazon have both announced a $10 billion investment. Meta with a 1.4 million square foot data center in Louisiana, I believe, and then Amazon 2 data centers in Mississippi, $10 billion investment with them also. So I think that this is going to be a zero-sum game, which is more drilling everywhere because solar and wind is not the answer. Sorry, it's not. And I got news for everybody. Nuclear is the answer. Whether they want to hear it or not, nuclear is the answer.
Dude, do you know about the history of the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Do we really need to get into that?
No, I'm just saying, I was watching a documentary on it the other day, and it's kind of wild. We were 2 buttons away from not existing.
Yeah.
Like,
and I bet you that we've been in that type of situation more times than they're saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying pursuing nuclear energy could recreate that. I'm just saying, as soon as you said nuclear, I thought about it. Like, it is kind of wild. And I think that's another thing the markets are looking forward to, Trump hopefully de-escalating some of the geopolitical issues, because we don't want to get into another situation like that. It would not be the best for equities.
No, violence is horrible. War is horrible. You don't want any of that. We'll see. But I do think that we're going to see more small nuclear reactors, especially considering Microsoft and Alphabet are going in on it. So I do think we need to augment because we're going to need so much more energy over the next couple of years. And I read through the EIA's short-term energy outlook for December, and they have consumption and production of liquids increasing through 2025. Their annual outlook comes out every 2 years. I believe it comes out in March. I'm very interested to see what the updated charts look like out to 2050. Because last time around, when green was the cool thing, oil and gas was still expected to increase.
Yes.
So now that it is no longer the cool thing, let's see what the charts say. But I'll tell you what's interesting. Refineries are interesting to me right now. I got to do more due diligence on it. It's not an original idea, but if consumption and production goes up, you're going to probably see increased profits from refineries.
That's like the Kinder Morgans of the world, or
Phillips 66, Valero, Kinder Morgan's the pipelines. They're not real, and the practitioners. Storage, they're not the refiners.
Gotcha.
Phillips 66, Marathon Petroleum, Valero, those are the big refiners.
Gotcha. What do you think about this stat? So JP Morgan came out with their data, and they said retail investors on average were up 9.8% in 2024, massively underperforming the S&P 500. Any thoughts on why you think that happened?
Yeah, people try to get cute.
What do you mean?
I mean, exactly what I mean. People try to get cute. People try taking risks. People try outperforming, and they end up taking risks because they find themselves down 2%, down 4%, get more riskier. Investing doesn't have to be hard. You just invest in S&P 500, you can do fine.
Yeah, I mean, this stat surprised me, bro. I did not expect that to be.
Yeah, but you got to remember, you had a really good year.
Yeah, but a lot of people had a really good year.
But no. Hold on a second. The people you talk to had a really good year.
No, the whole chat. I asked everyone what you guys were. Multiple people were up triple digits.
How many people is that? 3,000 people right now? That is such a small segment of the overall investment community. All I'm saying is the people that you're talking to constantly pay attention to the markets and constantly are doing research.
That's fair.
When you're constantly doing research, it's not hard to outperform the S&P. But, and I think these stats are skewed to a degree, because you always hear these things about hedge funds not outperforming and this and that. Is it the hedge funds, or is it the people that are invested in the hedge funds because you have 2 and 20 and all these fees and everything else?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's fair. That's fair, especially if you're doing a lot of research. It's easier than not to outperform the markets. Steve, I want to play a clip by Mr. Dan Ives on an interview he did this morning on Apple. I think you would like to hear this as well, so let's listen to a little bit of
Was
this.
it going to 5 trillion or 4 trillion?
Basically, he upgraded them to 325. So let's hear
I
from him.
love it.
Lifting the price target now, this awkward week between Christmas and New Year's, and you said, I have a call to make.
Yeah, because the bears, they're in hibernation mode because they can't find AI in the spreadsheets. And look, we're doing the work. What we see across Asia's supply chain, I mean, we're seeing strength not just into December, what I believe is going to be ultimately a record year for Apple, 240 million iPhone units. And that's why, look, this is going to be an AI-driven super cycle that's multi-year. And that's why, look, the haters, they hate it at 2 trillion, despise it at 3 trillion, at 4 trillion, gonna be yelling from the top of the mountains.
You write in your note that you estimate roughly 300 million iPhones globally have not upgraded in over 4 years. So do you think this upgrade cycle is going to be led out of necessity because people are just desperate for a new phone? Or is it that AI capability that Apple's starting to introduce?
I think about 60, 70% of it is that you've gotten to the point now where that's a pent-up upgrade cycle. It's really unprecedented for Apple. But also remember that install base, that's increased 200 million even over the last few years. So the install base continues to be the golden goose of Cupertino. But the AI-driven piece, it's just starting. That's why it's a get out the popcorn moment, because in our opinion, the consumer AI revolution goes through Cupertino. And I think, look, that's why the bears will talk about valuation like they have for years in Apple. It's about some of the parts, about what AI adds to the story. We think it's $30 to $40 per share.
How hard would it be, though, for the next upgrade cycle, especially if so much is driven now by software updates? The hardware hasn't really changed.
Well, I think that's in iPhone 17. Again, that will be, what we'll be seeing later this year, into 2025. That's actually going to be a hardware-driven, a new form factor that's really going to be AI-driven. So that's why this is it's a 1-2 punch. It's 16 into 17. And that's why what makes this unique, it's about the increased services. And ultimately, you have hundreds of apps right now in development that are going to be on top of Apple Intelligence. And that's why the enterprise AI revolution's the godfather of AI, Jensen NVIDIA. The consumer AI revolution goes through Cupertino. And I think that's why we could see 4 trillion potentially, today or Monday.
Steve, thoughts on that?
It sounds like I gave that interview.
Sounds like you did,
I mean, it really does sound like I gave that interview because that's everything that I've been saying to you.
All he needed to mention was buybacks and taxes, and it would have been a Steve interview.
100%, yeah. He doesn't. I don't think that Ives cares as much as I do about buybacks, but no, he's 100% right, and it keeps going back to when you generate $100 billion in profits, which is 1.8, 1.9 billion a week in profits, not revenue, profit. You can fail at things. You can throw 5 billion or 10 billion at a autonomous car and scrap the project and it doesn't freaking matter. Whereas other companies would bankrupt the company. And you can keep working ideas and flushing them out until they work, or scrap them and move on to the next thing. And this is arguably the greatest consumer company we have. 2 to 3 billion device base. And I don't think people understand how big AI services are going to become because we're not there yet. And once we get there, you're talking about being able to charge $5 or $10 or even $20 a month for different types of services that people are probably going to spend the money on. And it's going to be very impactful. The same way that you had the App Store and all these apps now, pre-iPhone, when iPhone just came out and then they had the App Store, it was so new, nobody could have thought about what it became. Think about what's going to happen when you have AI assistants. You're telling me you're not going to spend $5 or $10 a month for an AI assistant that you can just talk to do things for you that would take you 5 or 10 minutes to do?
I might if it really works. If It really
exactly,
works.
if it really works. Exactly.
I agree.
Eventually, we're going to get there. And Apple's got the hardware. You saw how crazy Zuckerberg's getting with owning his own hardware because he's sick of paying the fee to Apple. And you know what? You're not replacing iPhone. So everybody's can either use an Android or an iPhone. And the ones that are using iPhone are probably going to pay for this upgrade for services, the same way people pay a monthly fee for upgraded cloud storage, even if they don't need it, just in case. It's going to be impactful. I've been saying this for probably 4 years now, and I've been projecting. I'm going to find the article where I have it in writing, so there's proof. If you go by seeking out,
Can you put in writing your Palantir to 150 prediction, please, as well?
No, what do you mean? You're being bearish now. Palantir to 150. How about Palantir 1,000?
I'm just saying, bro. If you can justify Apple at fucking 4 trillion, you could find a way to justify Palantir. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I don't think that there's anything that needs to be justified given its revenue and profitability when you look at how other companies are being valued. I mean, $1 equals $1. It doesn't matter if you're building a widget or building software. If you generate $1,000, it's $1,000.
That is
fair. If you have a growth rate of 50%, the growth rate's 50%. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Yet certain industries get better multiples because it's a more exciting industry, which is bullshit, in my opinion. But my opinion doesn't matter. People like AI, people like tech, people don't like oil, people don't like other things, people don't like tobacco, so people don't like financials sometimes. But profits are profits.
Do you think small caps win next year?
Here's a better question. Do I care if small caps win?
Why is that
I
a
only
better question?
I only care about small caps from a job creation standpoint, so I want them to win. Okay? Because small business is the backbone of the country. So I absolutely want them to win. I'm not investing in them.
But do you think they outperform Mag 7 next year? Is my question.
I think it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Maybe they can. I wouldn't put my money on it. There's only one small cap I'm invested in right now. I think it's SoFi, because I think that's considered a small cap. But typically, I really don't follow small caps because it's too easy to invest in Amazon.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, because Tom Lee was on CNBC yesterday, and he was basically saying that small caps are. He was like really defending how undervalued they are, and I think he's going to be right. But it's also like it's easier to buy Amazon.
Ask him to name 10 small caps though that he would put money into. He's making a global prediction on the small cap industry. He's not talking about individual companies the way that he talks about NVIDIA and stuff.
Yeah.
So from the small cap basis, I can make that argument too. Lower rates, cost of capital becomes less. Businesses are more willing to expand, more money going into the economy. Small businesses who need to tap the debt markets because they don't have the balance sheets on large caps, pay less on floating rate debt, and they're able to refinance existing fixed debt. I mean, it's a pretty easy methodology to get behind.
It's fair. It is fair. I think large cap still does very well.
But think about it. Why would you, if you said, okay, you can invest in the Russell or you can invest in, I think it's the Round Hill company that did a Mag 7 ETF, just buy the Mag 7 ETF.
Or
like really, you don't want to be, I mean, you can buy the Qs also, but I mean, there's actually an ETF for just the Mag 7.
Yeah.
But I mean, think of that. You're telling me you don't want to be in Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, NVIDIA, Tesla, Microsoft, and Apple? Like, really?
Yeah, I can't see IWM outperforming. I mean, I could see IWM outperforming, but when it push comes to shove, what are people going to sell when they're scared? They're not going to sell their Google. They're going to sell their small caps.
You're not exactly. You hit the nail on the head. You're not selling Amazon because the market's going down.
No.
I mean, the bottom line is these are the best companies in the country. These are the last things you get rid of, and they're the last things to go. Apple was the only thing in 2022 that held the market up until it didn't.
Yeah. Guys, we're seeing a little bit of a bounce right here across names, a little bit of green. I don't think we're fully reversing yet, but we are seeing a little reversal. Steve, Tesla at 430. Do you like it at that level?
No,
What is your buy price for Tesla?
I don't know. I'd have to really think about it. It's nowhere near where it is now.
Well, it's like 200, 250?
Yeah, it's a much better entry.
Do you think we get there next year or no?
Who knows? Would you really be surprised if Tesla came down to 200 or went to 600?
I would.
Either scenario.
I would be surprised on 200. No, that would
really
half of the market cap being wiped out. Yeah, I'd be surprised.
It went up by double. It doubled because Trump got in office and nothing changed on the business. I mean, you don't think?
I mean, as long as the relationship doesn't get messed up with Trump, I don't think it needs to go down 50% from here. Well, the reason I'm saying this is because the analysts have all upgraded it, so they're on board with 500. Number two,
yeah, because it's pretty hard to keep a 150 price target on it when it's trading 400.
Yeah, but that also, I mean, if you read the reports, they are factoring in FSD. They're factoring in the Trump relationship, which will make FSD more relevant. I mean, it's decent analysis, I think. Obviously, they are chasing the price a bit, but on top of that, I don't see how the next 4 years Elon loses in an aggressive way. And losing 50% of your market cap, that would be pretty aggressive.
It's happened before.
It has happened before. You are correct. It has indeed happened.
It's happened multiple times, actually, with Tesla.
But that's what I'm saying. It went through the volatility the past 5 years has been gut-wrenching for a lot of shareholders. But if they've held on to get to this point, I don't know if we get back to that volatility.
Maybe we don't. I do not know what is going to happen. All I know is that, and this goes back to what I've said, you can't find AI in spreadsheets. And when I look at the cash flow statements and I read the financials, there is no reason. Can we talk business one-on-one for a minute, please?
Yes, let's do business
one-on-one.
Your
time to do business one-on-one.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Just so I don't give bad numbers, I'm actually going to open up an Excel sheet. We're going to do this together.
Okay, here we go. Getting some numbers.
Trust the old Excel.
While you do that, let me just read out some of these tickers real quick. So Apple guys still down 1.4. Palantir, a little recovery from 77 back to 79. Tesla still down, not at 428 anymore, about 435. Netflix is down, IWM down, SoFi down. But we are seeing a little bit of green. Hood is up from 38.22 to 39.12, but still red on the day. Okay, Tesla.
All right, so you're an individual investor, okay?
I am actually an institution, but you can call me whatever you want to call me.
If you were an institution, that'd be amazing.
I've institutionalized my investing strategy. So
I love it. So business 101, you're going to go buy a brick and mortar business, whether you're making widgets or pizzas or whatever it is, doesn't matter. Okay. You're looking to buy a business outright. You have a business with a price tag of $1 million. Okay. Your EBITDA, because that is what people really look at when they're buying businesses, not bottom line, but EBITDA, is $100,000.
Okay.
Asking price is $1 million, 10 times EBITDA. Okay.
Okay.
You now have a business that is doing $100 million, or $100 million business that's asking $100 million, and it's doing $1 million in EBITDA. Which one do you buy?
Say it again. Say the options again.
A business for $1 million.
Okay.
That's doing $100,000 in EBITDA.
Okay.
Or a business that's doing $1 million in EBITDA for $100 million. Which one do you buy?
Well, does the second one have Optimus? Or FSD? So, I mean, I'm buying the second one, baby. I'm going for the premium.
I'm just asking you a question.
No, I'd probably buy the first one.
And you're right. There are other factors that you need to factor into it, growth rates and everything else. But you would have to really get granular into a scenario. I don't want to bore everybody with it. But at some point, numbers matter. Paying 10 times EBITDA versus 100 times EBITDA And there are definitely factors. Do you own your IP and everything else? Is it replaceable, et cetera, et cetera? Those all play a factor into it.
Yeah, but the growth matters, Steve. If the first one's not growing,
Tesla's not growing the way Nvidia is.
But Nvidia is
But
not.
what?
And I was gonna say I wasn't gonna say more expensive because technically Nvidia is cheaper. But the point is Tesla's growth potential is what the market's betting on. That is far greater, at least, than what they're projecting for Nvidia, and that's okay. But that's the truth.
You're crazy.
Look, FSD and robotics potentially might make Nvidia bigger than Tesla, but there's a hell of an argument for why that in and of itself, those two together, makes it way bigger than Nvidia eventually when the GPUs are built out and Nvidia doesn't really have as big of a market. Maybe that takes a decade, but still.
Think about this from an earnings perspective. Going out decades a little long, but going out the next 2 years, Nvidia is supposed to go from $295 to $559 in EPS, increasing by $2.64, which is 89.5%. Tesla is going to go from $249 to $4, an increase of 151 or 60%. Like, what are we talking about here?
Well, so then why do you think the market's giving them the premium? Do you think it's all pure promo?
I think it's crazy that they're getting the premium. Nvidia's got more growth. And when you look at the price to cash flow or price to earnings, I mean, it's crazy. Tesla's trading at 113 times 2026 earnings, and Nvidia is trading at 25 times.
Yeah, but Steve, I don't think that comparison is the best comparison.
Well, it's a comparison you gave. I didn't give it. You gave it.
No, but I'm talking about my comparison doesn't factor in 5 years. What does FSD look? Wait, if they get 20% of all the miles that are driven as an FSD mile, what does that mean? If Optimus gets a purchase order from Walmart for 1 billion robots, like what is that? Like, these are things that obviously we cannot see looking at earnings multiples. And I think that's why it makes sense that Tesla's trading at these levels.
Tesla is trading at a crazy valuation with less growth than other companies. It is crazy based on what ifs.
Well, what about this comment? So Rango said right here, if companies like Tesla don't succeed, Nvidia is overvalued as well. What do you think about that?
Well, that doesn't hold much weight considering Nvidia is actually generating these profits.
Well, yeah,
Tesla doesn't need to succeed for Nvidia to succeed.
No,
got news for everybody.
I think Tesla's going to have to show a real world application of AI of these beautiful GPUs that Jensen is selling, because there is no real world application yet outside of FSD. I don't know what the other real world application is. You could tell me. If that doesn't work, these GPUs making these little chat bots are not going to be the most valuable thing in the world.
There is such a backlog. If Tesla stopped buying chips tomorrow, you would have other companies coming in and fill that void. It's not like Nvidia's freaking revenue would go down.
No, that's fine. I'm just saying the market wants to see what the market still doesn't know what the use case is of all these GPUs.
Well, it doesn't matter what the use cases is. All it matters is that Meta, Alphabet, Microsoft continue to buy hand over fist, and there's not enough chips to go around, and smaller companies are on the wait list.
No, the use cases definitely matter, because if the market doesn't see Google's increasing earnings from their AI capex spend, they're going to get pretty curious why the hell they're spending $50 billion.
What I am saying is the use case doesn't matter for Nvidia. The use case matters for the other companies.
No, the use case absolutely matters for Nvidia. If Google can't show a use case, Nvidia's not going to get paid. What are you talking about? If Google can't show that the $50 billion they spend on GPUs doesn't increase earnings, the market's going to be like, why the hell are you paying for this?
The use case for Alphabet does not matter for Nvidia. Alphabet is buying all these chips because they are building things with it. What they build does not matter to Nvidia as long as they continue to buy. That's all that matters, that they continue to buy.
Yeah, but Steve, they will only buy if there is value to buying it.
And obviously there's value to buying it.
If there's a use case. And FSD is the best use case outside of ChatGPT.
Is that to Nvidia, it doesn't matter if the use case is cloud, if the use cases are autonomous, if the use case is XYZ. As long as these companies are buying and they see and they believe there's value to be extracted. Tesla could stop buying chips tomorrow, that void will get filled.
I disagree. I mean, you're right to an extent, and I'm right to an extent, but I think Tesla cannot stop showing progress because they are
I
the
don't want them to
manifestation.
stop showing progress. All I'm saying is that if they stop buying chips tomorrow, that void would get filled. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I agree on that. The void will get filled. I'm just saying, if we want to believe NVIDIA is not cyclical, then people need to see GPUs actually changing their lives, which is why I'm actually, although I make fun of Apple, I want Apple to win, because if Apple's winning, it means people are using LLMs on their phones. That means GPUs have a use case. That means the AI revolution continues. But so far, we haven't seen that. And I think Tesla is the best example of actually showing it off. It's just, they got to be able to justify it.
I mean, we're seeing more machine learning and cloud compute and all the other AI-driven stuff. I think we're going to see a lot of tech expansion in the next 2 years. Hopefully Tesla is one of them, because look, I want Tesla to succeed because I want to buy it.
You are a very selfish person.
Why am I a selfish person? I want to buy it so I can buy one for my parents. So
you're talking about the car. I thought you meant the stock. You want the stock to go. Oh, my bad.
No, I want the actual autonomous bot.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's going to be very good for a lot of people, especially Asian people. Bottom line is, you can't continue to go up and down the stairs, carry laundry, and do this when you're older.
Yeah, but that's like, Steve. That's my point. If you're seeing the potential in the bot, I think that's why Tesla's getting the premium. Like, I don't think that's that crazy.
We have no idea when this is going to be real. That's not the time.
Well, that's the whole point of investing. You hope that you have a decent timeline that it'll be real in the next, 4 or 5 years. I think we're getting Optimus news next year. I really do.
That'd be great.
And at that point, I don't think you're going to be saying look at the price to earnings. I think you're going to be saying, holy crap, this is a company that has a $500 trillion TAM that they can go after, that they're just starting to go after.
I think robots is, look, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think robots is going to be the biggest market we've seen. I think there's going to be several companies that overtake the market, and Tesla's going to be one of them. And I don't think that these other companies can compete with Tesla from a manufacturing standpoint. But it's got to play out the right way. We got to say. But right now, without any revenue being generated, and those still being in a thought process phase, bottom line is the growth that we've seen in NVIDIA, we've never seen from another company. We've never seen this type of growth. NVIDIA could potentially generate more profit than Apple this year, which is crazy.
How much profit does Apple do per year?
Where they do $96 billion last year.
NVIDIA's at what, 60 billion, I think?
Yeah, so they've gone from $4.5 billion in 2022 to 30 billion to 63 billion.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is a growth story. You're not wrong there. You were not
Apple
wrong.
did 94 billion last year.
And they're doing what, 96 billion this year?
Something like that. But I mean, you look at Tesla. Tesla did 13 billion. I mean, it's just the amount of stuff that has to happen. And when the bot comes and FSD comes, what's Tesla going to be doing in profit? 50 billion, 75 billion in profit? Awesome. Great. 5x what their profit is now, 6x what their profit is now. Still not as much as NVIDIA or Apple.
Yeah, I mean, the Tesla growth story, it would have to be like a 2019 growth story again, where, they just show explosive, because it's been stagnant since those.
Yeah, and I get it. It could be an explosive growth story. Their revenue right now is 97 billion. Do they get 600 billion? Awesome. Cool. So you just basically 6x your revenue. You're not doing as much as Amazon.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I'm all about the growth story. I'm all in on the growth story. But at some point, it's just a story until the numbers come in. And even if you 6x the revenue and even if you 6x the profits, there are still companies bigger.
Yes, but people, just like they love Carp, they love Elon, and I think there's a little bit of an Elon premium attached to this. And
of course, there's going to be an Elon premium attached to it. Of course.
Yeah.
But once again, that's why investing isn't just cash flow statements.
Yeah.
Because you have people like me who just go straight to the numbers and can't understand, even though I'm invested in it, can't understand why it's doing what it's doing. So numbers don't matter.
We are still red, folks. A little bit of green, but not really recovering off that green. Still relatively red. Steve, I know you don't really care too much about this red today, but are there any names on your list that you would want to see a nice decline and to go shopping for?
Absolutely.
Is Square on that list?
I told you I'm officially a blackhead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would buy more Square if it gets to 80. Maybe 78 to 80, that area, I'd buy more probably. Yeah, NVIDIA looks very interesting. If NVIDIA can get back into the mid 120s, I would buy more. I may even buy more here. We'll see.
Okay, so let's end it out with this. Guys, put some tickers in the chat. We'll get Steve's raw thoughts on some tickers for like the next couple minutes, and then we'll end it out here. But I'm also curious on some names and would definitely want to get your opinion on
Look
them.
at what's bouncing. Look at SLB. I think I may have called the bottom.
Schlumberger.
It is up 3.5% since I wrote my article on it.
It's probably because of your article.
It's not because of my article. It's just because it's one of the most undervalued stocks right now.
I think it's because of your article, Steve. All right, we got some tickers. Intel, thoughts?
Heartbreaking.
You're still holding on, though.
I'm still a shareholder. I mean, I need to really do a big deep dive on it. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. Maybe Qualcomm tries to acquire them again now, since the lawsuit's over that they were fighting, and you have a new administration coming in. So maybe they try to take them over. Look, Intel needs to succeed. We should all want Intel to succeed because we need their freaking manufacturing. We need their fabs to come up. We don't want to be dependent overseas as much as we are for chips. So something's going to happen to Intel, whether they turn around internally or it gets acquired and turned around, but we need them to succeed.
Okay. Mercado Libre. Any thoughts on these guys?
Don't follow them. No idea about them.
Any thoughts on Nubank?
Don't follow them. Know nothing about them.
IBM.
I mean, I think we've missed the boat.
But you like it. You like IBM.
Yeah, I've liked it since 120 when people said it was stupid.
Okay.
You could look at my history on IBM. I've been saying it to buy since 120.
All right. Adobe.
You know, that's one of the interesting ones, because if you think software is really going to be the next iteration, they're a premier software company and they're down this year. I mean, how much does AI hurt them? Because how much does it allow their competitors to compete against them? I don't know enough about the company to answer those questions.
Yeah, that is a fair point. Also, you know, they're saying AI is a tailwind. Market's not seeing it in earnings yet, but
could be a headwind for them. It could allow mass competition into their space. I have no idea.
XLE, oil, energy.
Yeah, I don't think oil is the play. I think refineries and pipelines are the play. Energy infrastructure, not the upstream producers, because if oil comes down, they're going to have to produce a lot more to generate the same cash flow. So it's not a setup I necessarily like for. This is not a 2020 scenario by any means for oil. This isn't Exxon trading at 30 and going to 100. I mean, I just don't think it's the play.
Do you know anything about Applied Digital, APLD?
No.
Rocket Lab?
I know nothing about them. It's now a mortgage company.
That is indeed a mortgage company. SMCI?
Yeah, I've never followed them that closely. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay. Netflix.
Overvalued.
Did you see the football game on Netflix?
No.
Do you think? I mean, they brought in 50 million people. You don't think that's bullish?
The only reason why I have Netflix is because they held me hostage with Night Agent and the other freaking show, The Recruit. Once those two shows are back on in January, and I watch them, I'm canceling.
Okay, so we're not a fan of Netflix. Have you bought Grab yet, or do I need to buy it for you?
I have not bought Grab yet.
Steve, it's at $4.79. Steve, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait until it goes lower.
Steve, this is you don't really buy dips, do you?
I don't know if I consider this a dip.
Well, we were talking about it at 5:30. No, it is a dip because there's 4 billion shares outstanding. So every cent actually is a decent amount of the company. I mean, just saying, if you believe in it, if you believe in the thesis, I like it here. Could it go lower? Yes, it could definitely go lower. But if you're going to start a position in Square at up 30%, I think Grab is.
I feel much better about the Square than Grab.
I feel the opposite, to be honest. I feel the opposite, but I guess just different DD. Uber, do you like Uber here?
No.
You don't like Uber here. Really? That's weird because you're complaining about Tesla. The only reason Uber's down is because of Tesla.
Yeah, and if you ask me, do I think Tesla has a better shot at winning than losing? I think yes. They have a better shot at winning, and that's got to be bad for Uber.
Yeah, but if Tesla's overvalued and Tesla comes down 50%.
It has nothing to do. Tesla being overvalued has nothing to do with Uber. Basically, do I think FSD is going to happen? Eventually, it's going to happen. And what does that mean for freaking Uber? I mean, that can't be good.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying if you think Tesla's going back to like 300 or 250, then the narrative on Uber should not be that Tesla's going to kill Uber, right?
One thing has nothing to do with the other.
No, I think it has to. I think one thing has everything to do with the other. The only reason Uber's down is because of Tesla.
Overvalued. Tesla can be overvalued and still bring FSD to market. Tesla being overvalued, in my opinion, has nothing to do with Uber.
I agree, but sentiment-wise, if the narrative changes on Uber, because right now the narrative is only because Tesla is going to kill them with FSD. That is why it's from 80 to 60 towards the end of the year. If that changes, I think Uber goes up. I'm not in it. I'm not in the trade. I'm just saying. I think.
All I'm saying is if autonomous happens, which eventually it's probably going to, and I don't know when it does, the use case for Uber becomes less and less.
Yeah, no, that is fair. That's 100% correct. I don't think that's.
So especially if you get ride hailing. I mean, you get a Tesla ride hailing market. It can't be good for Uber.
Right. Well, unless they partner with Tesla, which would be something I don't think anyone would expect, but that is the actual likelihood that I think that's an outcome that is likely. Like Tesla.
The only way that it works for Uber is if they buy all the autonomous cars, get rid of all their drivers, and operate an autonomous fleet. But then you got to figure in that cost against everything and do the math and see what's what. Because I don't know the pay structure, their cost structure. I don't know what. I've never looked into the business, so I have no idea what their expense structure is.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, AMD, thoughts on that one?
My kryptonite? I don't know. I don't follow them.
People don't know the story of you and AMD.
Oh, I sold it at $3.67.
But the reason I say to never feel bad about this is because you would have never held AMD to 200. So
no, but it's annoying.
It's definitely annoying.
So I used to side back in the day. I used to sideways trade it because it was stuck in a trend from 450 to like 750. And I used to sideways trade it for a while, got stuck on it, bought more, had a lot of shares, and ended up selling it. It went down to $1.98. I doubled down. I didn't double down. I put the 30% in, got my cost average down to 367, and then all of a sudden it just shot up after an earnings report, and it never held whenever it did that. So I liquidated my position, and when I liquidated my position, it never came back down. It just kept going up.
Yeah, I mean, it happens sometimes, and then you miss the name forever. So that is fair. All right,
I did not have 1,000 shares. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, you would have been on an island right now. Last couple names, just to get your thoughts on Eli Lilly.
I don't know how this whole GL1 thing's going to play out. I don't know.
SoFi.
Very bullish, so bullish.
And you think the tech platform scales next year?
I think people are going to be surprised. I think that crossing over the 10 million member mark is huge. The amount that they are allocating to loans, the amount people are using the network, the amount people are using cards, just the amount people are using their products is incredible. The growth is not stopping. They are becoming a premier financial institution. And when, not if, but when they get some of these deals and they announce them, I think it gives them a hybrid multiple. That's always been the investment case. If this tech platform fails from a implementation standpoint, from cross-selling to their competition, my SoFi valuation model will get seriously changed and will be seriously impacted. But we've seen what they can do internally with it. We've seen the cost savings. We've seen the efficiency for it. SoFi is not a small bank anymore. I think you're going to see people realize this is a premier product between Galileo and Technisys. Nobody else owns the back end the way SoFi does. And if they get one or two large financial institutions and they start getting the regionals, what's that technology worth? What's that IP worth that they own outright 100%? They didn't even spend a single dollar for Technisys. They issued shares, got the company for straight shares. What's that IP worth that is now powering part of the financial sector? So I think that it's going to be a big year.
I agree. I think stock trades closer to 2025 next year on SoFi. Last one for you. I guess we'll end it off with our good friend Palantir. What are your thoughts right here on Palantir today?
Come on, Palantir to 1,000.
No, seriously, Steve. Like, what are your
1,500?
Dude, imagine Palantir does a split at like 400 or something.
Dude, if Palantir split right here, that would be the wildest thing Carb could do. Carb should just split it right here because it'll go back to 100 in like fucking 3 months.
Dude, we split Palantir from 80 to like $8, 10 for 1.
Oh my god, he should do like a 6 for 1 split right here. 7 for 1 split.
Dude, people would be so excited. They'd be so excited.
Dude, we should start a freaking Twitter thing. Split Palantir. Hashtag split Palantir or something. Like,
has a stock ever split below $100? I don't think it's ever happened. This would be the first.
No, you can split whenever you want.
No, I know you can do it whenever you want, but
Has.
no, people don't do it until you get to like 500. That's usually when people.
I don't think that's true. What did Walmart split at when they split? They just split recently.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, they split at 180 and they came up to 60. So you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, companies do it at all different stages. Listen, here's something people don't factor in. Apple's going to split next year or in 2026. Got news for everybody. Every time Apple gets to like 400 to 500, they split their freaking shares.
I forgot. They probably will do that. They probably will.
Of course they're going to do it. Go look at a long-term chart of how many times they've split.
Dude, Apple has 15 billion shares outstanding.
Yeah, look at how many shares they bought back.
Yeah, they bought back a crap ton of shares. That's right.
Let's look at their. Hold on. Let's look at this.
Dude, why do you get so passionate talking about Apple, bro? Is this even like a heavy position? You love this freaking Apple so much
because it's very important for the market.
It's important for the market, but you love Apple.
So Apple split in 2000, 2 for 1. They split in 2005, 2 for 1. They split in 2014, 7 for 1. And they split in 2020, 4 for 1. They're due for another split.
Wait, so if they do, if they get to 300 and they do 3 for 1, they would have 45 billion shares outstanding.
Yeah, so
that's a ton of shares. That's a decent one.
Think about it. They had freaking 22.3 billion shares outstanding in 2015. Now they're down to 15 billion.
Well, yeah, they bought back. Yeah, I forgot. They will buy back a ton.
They buy back so many shares it doesn't matter. And plus, you want companies to split their shares because you know what? It creates trading volume because more people can afford to invest.
That is true.
Got news for everybody. It doesn't do anything to the valuation except create liquidity. Because you know what? You get a lot more people being able to buy 1 or 2 shares of Apple at $80 than at $800.
Yeah. All right, Steve. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you being on the show today. Steve's Twitter, I'm going to put right here in the chat.
What's the story for tomorrow? Are we doing anything tomorrow?
Yeah, so tomorrow, 9 p.m., we're doing the market awards. I'm going to send you the categories tonight. And we'll be streaming like top CEO of the year, top comeback story, all that stuff. I'm going to send it tonight. In the
Oh,
chat.
God. We're all going to pick the same one for that.
What? Oh, did you know who The Economist named as their top CEO of the year?
Yeah, Carp.
It's not bad, right?
I mean, if you don't pick, there's only 2 CEOs that can even get this award for top CEO. It's either Elon or Carp, one of the 2.
Well, I think there's other candidates that are up there.
Maybe you go Zuck for an underdog.
Zuck is not, dude. Not this year. Not this year. I think. Well, because Zuck executed like normal. Why is he a top CEO of the year? Like
because the guy's a winner.
Yeah, but we're talking about the best of the best. For look, I think
I'll put Zuck's not the best of the best.
You could put Zuck up there, but I think Vlad's up there.
No.
See, you got a vendetta, and you can have your vendetta all you want.
I don't have a vendetta.
But no, you have a vendetta. It's Vlad is he executed at a different level this year.
He's not in the same category.
He's not like Elon, Jensen, or Carp yet, but in terms of execution, I think.
I forgot about Jensen.
I was going to say Jensen's by second. Jensen's up there.
What about Jensen?
Jensen's up there. I would definitely put Elon up there. He's had a hell of a year with Tesla. Elon
should be excluded because nobody's better than him because he's running 6 freaking companies.
I mean, that's a game over argument for him. I would actually
be excluded.
I would put Andy Jassy over Zucks in my list.
We don't know how much freaking Bezos is controlling everything.
Look, Bezos said
after that
there.
interview where he said he's intimately involved in Amazon. I mean,
yeah, I don't know how accurate that. I mean, what is intimately involved? Is he really there every day? You know, like
he's probably phoning in from his freaking 300-foot yacht.
Yeah, Jassy. Every earnings call, Jassy just impresses me more and more, and makes me wonder how much Amazon I want.
It's funny how everybody was going crazy about freaking Jassy, not realizing he was the EWS guy. Like this was the guy for this era for Amazon.
Yeah. Is Sundar on the top list?
No.
That was a quick no. No. Yeah, I think Vlad, Jensen, Elon, Carp, and Jassy are in my top 5 this year for CEOs. So, yeah, I'll give you a bunch of categories and we'll discuss it tomorrow night. You, me, and Doug are confirmed, and then we'll see if we can get Matt and Chris on as well. Maybe Carlos, but should be a full house. It'll be fun.
Huh? That works.
All right. Have a good Friday, Mr. Steven. We will talk later.
Real quick. Is Bitcoin going to 200 next year?
$200 or 200,000?
200,000.
I hope. I really hope. Because if it does, Square and Hood are going to go up another 50%.
You know what I love? There's some guy that borrowed $1.5 billion and pledged $500 million of Bitcoin against it to buy more Bitcoin. Like, it's ridiculous.
Are you talking about Saylor?
I don't know who the guy is, but some guy.
You're going to be eating your words. You're going to be eating your words if Bitcoin's at 200K, because then MicroStrategy is going to.
No, it's going to be the greatest grift there ever was.
Some people call it a grift. Some people potato.
It's going to be the greatest grift that ever was because he basically pledged a fake asset that just grew and grew, and the 500 million of this asset that he pledged basically nullifies the debt, and he got the rest of the spread for free.
Look, some people say it's a Ponzi. Other people say it's a perpetual money printing machine. It's whatever side of the aisle you're on,
I'm just saying that it is pretty crazy, the amount of people going crazy over this.
Oh, is he in the CEO of the year? He has to be in the conversation.
No.
Well, how is he not in the conversation, dude? He's got to be there.
Why? Because he just keeps buying Bitcoin?
Because he's leveraging the crap out of his company to buy Bitcoin.
No,
and it worked.
A great CEO.
MicroStrategy's up 6x. It worked.
Listen, he's got balls of steel, and he is doing everything in his power to go to every conference and talk to every single person he can, try to get more people to buy Bitcoin so it keeps going up. He is the greatest champion of Bitcoin because his whole future depends on it. It's the only reason why he's doing it.
Isn't that all of us, though? All of us champion the things that help us. I mean, he's just taking it to the next level, you know?
No.
Like, I agree with you. It's definitely over leveraged. It is very scary. But if Bitcoin goes to 200, it doesn't matter. It's, you know, it's going to work.
If Bitcoin goes to 200, he won at life.
He wins at life. Now, if it comes from 200 back down to 80, and that's the new local bottom.
Screwed. He is screwed.
He's not screwed to the point where he has to sell off everything, but if he starts buying at 150, 160, 170, then he's screwed. If he buys at those high
If
high
Bitcoin goes and it takes a retracement to 40 or 50 next year, unexpectedly, it's going to put a lot of pressure on a lot of things.
Yeah. You know.
It's too unpredictable, and I am so glad that Microsoft is not freaking stopping buybacks or dividends to buy Bitcoin. I'm so happy about that.
All right. Thank you, Steve. We will see you tomorrow night on the Stock Awards.
All right, you have fun with your bets.
Make sure you wear like a Santa Claus like hat or something.
You're joking. Right?
I have one. I can send it to you if you need one. Yeah, you got to wear something festive, dude. You got to wear, you know.
Do you think I own anything festive?
Just wear like an ugly Christmas. Wear something. Make it fun. That's all I'm saying.
That's funny. Somebody in my office told me to wear an ugly Christmas. I'm like, what are you talking about? You think I own any of that stuff?
You should, dude. It's a
why?
It's just to be holly and jolly.
That's not my personality.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow.
Later.
We got to get Steve in an ugly Christmas sweater, dude. That'd be the best thing ever if we could do that. All right, guys. I think that's pretty much it. Markets pretty much still red. Got a little bit of a rebound, but nothing too crazy here. Bitcoin holding 94. Netflix down 2%. Grab still down 3%. Apple's down 1.6. It's a red day. It's a red Friday in the equity markets. Tesla still down 3. Nice recovery from 426 though, but still red. Robinhood as well, still red. Palantir above 79. It's better than being 77. Robinhood at 39.19. That's better than 38.22. And S&P at 594. S&P above 592, but still down 1% on the day. And that's it. That's what we got for today. I'll be back on the market close. We'll see how markets have changed, if anything. Either we get a nice reversal towards the end of the day or we continue the red. Wouldn't be surprised on either or, but right now, definitely we are stuck in the red with a small reversal to a little bit less red, but still indeed red. Word of the day. Let's do that, and then I will get you guys out of here. This is a interesting one. Carphagus. Okay. Feeding on fruit eating.
Carpophagus.
The Carpophagus bat species are crucial for pollination as they feed on nectar and fruit. The Carpophagus diet of the iguana primarily consists of fruits and leafy greens. It's ironic because I was talking a couple days ago about how I want to start eating a lot of fruit throughout the day to like revamp my diet next year.
Carpophagus.
Carpophagus. The P is more like an F. POF versus POP. All right, there you go. That is the word of the day. Carpophagus. This is so hard.
Carpophagus.
See, the P doesn't sound like a P, but it is a P. Carpophagus. Feeding on fruit eating. Probably will become Carpophagus next year as a fruit eater. Carpophagus. Dude, Carp's diet must be elite, dude. His body fat percentage, I think he was talking about the New York Times article. And he's a skinny guy, and I've met him 4 times. He's pretty damn skinny. So I would imagine this guy's eating like salads and fruit and all that good stuff to stay fit. If I ever use that word in real life, I'd probably get punched in the face. That's basically what these words of the days are. If you use them in real life, you're probably getting punched in the face, but that's what makes them fun. Ian says, word of the day is amidstitution, a better word of institution. That's correct. All of us are our own institutions. All right, guys, I think that's it. I'll be back at 3:45. We'll see if these markets change at all. Not really getting any love right here outside of a small reversal, but we got to see if it holds. S&P 594, Tesla 437, Hood 3909, Bitcoin 94.5. And then you got Palantir 79.27 currently right now. All right. That's it for me. I'll see you guys 3:45 on the market close. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.